You dared to provoke me. 6. Letting Xiao Qiyuan escape alive rather than killing him, this will give family Xiao a bigger shock. Princess Beiyu, this old man had brought some gifts over to pay a visit. Outside, an old but clear and loud voice rang. Huang Beiyu faintly curled up the corner of her lips, saying to Dongling, "Let the Lord's father in." Yes. Dongling went out, standing by the door. With a crisp voice, "Lord's father, please come in." Princess had prepared some snacks and tea waiting. Xiao Qiyuan lifted his head to look around the room. The curtains were closed so nothing could be seen. How did he dare to go in? What if Huang Beiyu had set up a trap? Then he will die inside for no reason. Although they were related by blood, all these years he hadn't viewed Huang Beiyu as his granddaughter. Huang Beiyu naturally hadn't viewed him as her grandfather either. Today, within the Seven Towers forest, Huang Beiyu had the intentions of murdering him. The reasons why he came today: on one hand, he was afraid that he didn't give faces to Huang Beiyu, he will anger the master. On the other hand, he also wanted to become close to Princess Beiyu and please her so that she can compliment him in front of the master in order for him to let him go. He thought of making his move through Huang Beiyu because Huang Beiyu's personality had inherited from Princess Zhang. Since childhood, she was gentle and kind. It's just that Huang Beiyu's personality was a little on the weaker side. He thought that no matter what, blood is thicker than water. After all, Huang Beiyu would still consider this fact right. Xiao Qiyuan raised his head to look at Dongling. "Young Miss Dongling, this old man's body isn't well. If I go into the room, it will probably taint the princess's room. It's better for me to stand outside the room and speak. The Lord's father's face is huge. Whatever you said is what you said. This maid will go in and ask for the princess out." Dongling turned around, walking and smiling. The words that she said led Xiao Qiyuan to start sweating. His original intention was to ask for Huang Beiyu to come out, and there was nothing bad with sitting within the garden, drinking tea and chatting. But now that Dongling had exclaimed in this way, it felt as though he was taking advantage of others based on his seniority. It made it seem like he didn't want to go in and instead wanted Huang Beiyu to come out. This girl isn't an easy character. Momentarily, Huang Beiyu came out, with Dongling's escort. The lily-white hand slightly held onto the hem of the dress. On her face, it hung a faint smile. She had an elegant manner and born from the nobility. It's rare that the Lord's father could do me the honor of coming. Beiyu didn't go out to welcome you. I am really lacking in manners. Huang Beiyu bent her knees, making a salutation where a young miss would do towards a senior when seeing them. Xiao Qiyuan didn't dare to accept her salutation. He hurriedly moved out of the way. He hugged his fist, bending his waist and saluting. What is the princess saying? It's this old man who should salute to the princess. Huang Beiyu lifted her hand. Lord's father is a senior. Quickly get up. Beiyu doesn't deserve this. Xiao Qiyuan wiped his sweat. He stood up and the three masters in the back hurriedly came over. Bring up gifts. There was 3 embroidered boxes. Each one of the embroidered boxes was opened. The first embroidered box held the complete secret book of a flame beheading. In the second embroidered box, there was a sparkling and translucent pill. In the third embroidered box, there was a black dagger which could peel metal off as though the mud. This is just a meager gift. Hope the princess can kindly accept this. Xiao Qiyuan carefully observed Huang Beiyu's face when she saw the precious treasures. These couple of things could be considered as amazing treasures. Each of them can't be bought with money. This Huang Beiyu had only transformed into a powerful person recently. Otherwise, in the past, she wouldn't have allowed family Zhao's people to continuously bully her. Since she had turned powerful recently, she probably hasn't seen that many treasures before. When she had seen these couple of things, she will probably be delighted. Who dared to provoke me? 7. This old fox, Xiao Qiyuan, isn't just picking up expensive gifts to gift to her for nothing. He was giving her rare items as gifts in order to move her. However, Huang Beiyu just lightly swept her eyes across the gifts. There wasn't any surprise or joy on her face. She only smiled elegantly and said, "Many thanks, Lord." Dongling, put the gifts away. Dongling went and brought the boxes into the house to put them away. Then, she brought out some tea and placed it on the stone table in the yard. "Please have a seat, Lord." Huang Beiyu raised her hand and walked over to take a seat first. Xiao Qiyuan walked over and sat down. He couldn't help but feel embarrassed as he thought to himself, it seems that her master has even rarer treasures. Otherwise, how could this little girl, Huang Beiyu, be so calm? Huang Beiyu pulled back her sleeves and personally poured a cup of tea for Xiao Qiyuan. She raised her head as her gaze swept across the 3 experts standing behind Xiao Qiyuan. Although these people were dressed in the attire of ordinary people, she could feel from their aura that their strength should be comparable to Xiao Qiyuan. This old fox has really come prepared. What was he afraid of? Is he afraid that she would make a move against him and the Xiao family? He really thinks highly of himself. If she kills him in Princess Zhang's residence, she would only tarnish Princess Zhang's reputation of kindness. Why don't you all sit down for a cup of tea? Huang Beiyu smiled lightly as she set up the teacups and filled each of the teacups with tea. Those people looked at each other. The pretty female expert said, "Princess, you are too kind. Our statuses are low, how could we possibly drink tea together with the princess?" Huang Beiyu ignored her. She had already picked up a cup of tea and handed it to the female expert saying, "It's just a cup of tea." The female expert was hesitating whether she should accept it or not. If she did, she must drink it. However, if there was anything odd inside the tea. "This esteemed guest, could it be that you aren't even willing to give our princess a little face?" Dongling asked with a smile on her face. "Xiao Yu, how can you act so rude in front of the princess?" Xiao Qiyuan frowned as he reprimanded the female expert in a serious tone. The female expert called Xiao Yu hesitated for a moment before extending her hands. "Many thanks, princess." Her hand took the teacup but she couldn't bring it back. The cup seemed to be deeply embedded in solid rock. Xiao Yu's heart was slightly moved. This Princess Beiyu's hand strength is great. Was she trying to test her in order to test the strength of the Xiao family? According to Xiao Qiyuan, this Huang Beiyu's strength was extraordinary, and she has the backing of an expert. But their Xiao family can't just abandon their pride in front of her. Xiao Yu also secretly exerted strength into her hands. Her level has already reached that of a golden warrior. If Huang Beiyu's level is the same as hers, then she wouldn't lose too much face today. However, just as she exerted her strength, an extremely overbearing and scorching hot energy was suddenly transmitted from the teacup into her meridians. That energy seems to have a conscience of its own as it drilled into the deepest part of her internal organs. Xiao Yu was incomparably terrified. She screamed as she immediately released her hold of the teacup. The teacup fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. There wasn't even a drop of water inside, it had already evaporated. By this, one could imagine how tyrannical and fierce the scorching energy that drilled into Xiao Yu's body was. The 2 experts behind Xiao Qiyuan quickly supported Xiao Yu. They both raised their heads and glared at Huang Beiyu with resentment. Was this a show of strength to warn the Xiao family? This situation had also shocked Xiao Qiyuan. After his fit of anger, he quickly reacted. Xiao Yu is at the Gold Warrior level. If it was that easy for Huang Beiyu to make her suffer a loss, wouldn't that mean Who dared to provoke me? 8. His heart had sunk right then. Xiao Qiyuan immediately stood up, yelling towards Xiao Yu, "You don't have eyes, ah. The princess served tea to you and you're that careless," quickly apologized to the princess. Xiao Yu pressed onto the arm which was in extreme pain. She knew the consequences. Xiao Qiyuan was finding a way of the situation for her, not letting the situation become bigger. Even if she was the one who would suffer from this, she will accept this. I have been careless. It's a good thing that I haven't injured the princess. Please punish me, princess. It's no big deal. Noble guest, you don't need to blame yourself. Huang Beiyu faintly declared. Shen then picked up another teacup, delivering it to her. Well, noble guest, have some tea. Xiao Yu's hand was still trembling. At this time, she saw that Huang Beiyu had delivered another cup of tea over. In her heart, she was shaking. She looked towards Xiao Qiyuan and he slightly nodded his head. Then, Xiao Yu went to pick up the tea. This time, they weren't being hard on her. She picked the tea over and drank. Xiao Yu forced a smile on. Princess's tea is some great tea. Thanks, princess. The other two people stared at Xiao Yu's situation and didn't even wait for Huang Beiyu to personally deliver it over. They walked over, picking up the teacup, drinking it all in one sip. Thanks, princess. The family Zhao's people all knew what's best for them. Huang Beiyu faintly smiled. At this time, outside the yard came Xiao Ling's voice. Grandfather, this girl is very bad. You better not show some mercy. She still hadn't fixed this loud and boisterous, no-brain nature. Huang Beiyu raised her head to look at Xiao Qiyuan. The Lord's father came this time to teach someone a lesson. How could it be? This girl doesn't know her manners, letting the princess see a joke. Xiao Qiyuan hurriedly explained. Xiao Ling's surname was Xiao, so she was still family Zhao's people. If Xiao Ling lost her face, then naturally, she would be losing him, Xiao Qiyuan's face. There are so many people in the family Xiao. This type of useless person without talent has no value. He gave a look towards the two men and the two people immediately walked out. They blocked Xiao Ling, who was hurrying to come over. You guys, what are you guys doing? Xiao Ling exclaimed loudly, unable to differentiate between the good and bad. Before, she had heard the sound of cups smashing outside. In her heart, she thought that Huang Beiyu would be taught a harsh lesson. Therefore, she rushed over to witness this. One of the men suddenly raised his hand over and clutched Xiao Yu's throat. He coldly stated, Princess Beiyu is here. Stop being presumptuous. Xiao Ling widened her eyes. She gurgled a couple times in her throat. She was lifted up by someone clutching onto her throat. Her hands and legs kicked and flung at each other randomly. Her face was slowly turning green. Concubine Xue and Xiao Yun, who had followed behind, came inside and saw this. They were all shocked and Xiao Yun immediately stepped back. The man lifting Xiao Yu's throat up was family Zhao's very powerful master. He was Xiao Wei. He was strong but was part of family Xiao. He would make a move towards Xiao Ling. Although she normally disliked Xiao Ling was still part of family Xiao. Because Huang Beiyu caused family Xiao to suffer, she was very unhappy. Brother Xiao Wei, even if the elder sister had made a huge mistake, she is still part of family Xiao. Please show some mercy. Xiao Wei looked at Xiao Yun. He and Xiao Yun got along pretty well. However, he couldn't listen to Xiao Yun right now. He was waiting for Huang Beiyu to say something. Huang Beiyu leisurely sipped half a cup of tea before raising her head up. It seemed as though she had just seen that Xiao Ling's throat was clutched by Xiao Wei. She shockingly exclaimed, "What did the elder sister do wrong that the noble guest is that angry?" Xiao Qiyuan held a serious face on, his voice filled with authority. Our family Zhao's family education is extremely strict. Although you guys don't live in the main house, you guys still need to follow the rules. Who dared to provoke me? 9. In this world, there is the way between the rule and his ministers. There is a difference between seniors and juniors. Did your father not teach you guys this before? Once he finished, he turned around to say to Huang Beiyu, Family Zhao's family education isn't strict, letting Princess witness a joke. Where? There is nothing to say in regards to the Lord's father's personality. From the past, the mother often complimented you. I see that a couple of brothers and sisters have lost their manners outside. Most likely, it is due to the fact that the Lord's father wasn't there to instruct them. I see, how about this? The Lord's father should move to the prefecture of Princess Zhang to live. For one, this can let Beiyu fulfill her filial duties some more, and second, can instruct a couple of sisters and brothers. How does the Lord's father think about this? Once Xiao Qiyuan heard this, cold sweat immediately appeared on his back. How is it possible for him to move to the prefecture of Princess Zhang to live? Doesn't that mean living completely under Huang Beiyu's eyes? Princess's beautiful thoughts, this old man will thank you. However, this old man is now too old and is unable to look after the kids. However, this old man believes that Princess Beiyu has rather Princess Zhang's demeanor. The people that Princess Zhang had taught, after all, are different. They are composed and impressive, letting this old man admire very much. How about letting Princess look after these kids? Once Xiao Yun heard the words, her face turned pale. She hurriedly exclaimed, Grandfather, how could you dash, presumptuous? Xiao Qiyuan yelled, Princess Bei, you didn't even speak yet. Is there a place for you to speak? Xiao Yun closed her mouth, feeling like she was wronged. The tears were on the verge of falling out of the eyelids. She was angry and unwillingly bit at the bottom lips. Huang Beiyu faintly stared at Xiao Yun and them. She slowly declared, since the Lord's father had said this, Beiyu is still anxious. The sisters and brothers have bright personalities. Beiyu is still young. How am I able to look after them? Xiao Qiyuan immediately responded, Princess, don't hesitate to look after them. If they don't listen to you, Princess just needs to send someone to tell me. A faint smile flashed through Huang Beiyu's eyes. She looked toward Xiao Yun, smiling, since the Lord's father had said this, then Beiyu will just follow your request. In Xiao Qiyuan's heart, he finally let out a sigh of relief. He waved his hand to let Xiao Yun and the others leave. He glanced at the maids outside the yard who also left before he spoke to Huang Beiyu in a low voice. Princess, I had offended you today. It is unclear about that Master Tia. He has a strange personality. What he disliked the most is when people spout nonsense. It's because of the Lord's father had committed his greatest taboo, so you were punished. In the future, as long as you be careful, you should be fine. He doesn't easily come out anyway. Yes. Thank you, Princess Beiyu, for instructing. Xiao Qiyuan wiped off the cold sweat off his forehead. He then whispered, not sure what that master's name is. Huang Beiyu raised her clear and bright eyes. There was some faint light. He doesn't like it when other people get to the bottom of something. Xiao Qiyuan's heart tightened. He hurriedly explained, this old man understands. Hopefully, Princess can compliment me in front of him. In the past, this old man failed to recognize something important. From now on, I won't ever do that. Lord's father, although the two of us aren't close, after all, we are still related by blood. How could I not save you from death? Huang Beiyu grinned. Thank you, Princess. Thank you, Princess. Xiao Qiyuan immediately stooped down, bowing with hands held in front. The worrisome and bitter face on his face finally slightly dulled. Huang Beiyu used her hand to prop against her forehead. Dong Ling immediately announced, "Lord's father, Princess's body isn't too good. Today, she is probably tired. Lord's father, please understand." Who dared to provoke me? 10. Princess, rest soon. This old man will take his leave now. Xiao Qiyuan wanted to leave a long time ago. It's just that without Huang Beiyu's words, he was hesitating. Now that he heard the words, he naturally left immediately. He just walked out from Lu Yungu when he saw Xiao Yuanqing, who was hurrying over. As soon as Xiao Qiyuan saw this son who didn't try hard enough, anger in his heart was building up. If it weren't for this stupid son who didn't try hard enough back then, wanting to climb up, so he decided to marry some Princess Zhang, then he wouldn't give birth to Huang Beiyu, this evil creature. Now, this led him to unable to live in peace. "Father." Xiao Yuanqing hurried over. "That girl did you dash, Pa?" His words weren't finished when Xiao Qiyuan raised his hand to give him a harsh slap. "Stupid thing that doesn't have eyes. You don't even look at where you are living right now. You don't know to be cautious of the way you're speaking." Xiao Yuanqing was slapped to the point he was a little confused about what's going on. Helplessly, he turned around to look at Xiao Yu, who knew the Lord's father's thoughts well usually. Xiao Yu hugged her arm in pain, with her face pale white. "Cousin, that Princess Beiyu is not to be provoked. Even we needed to look at her face in order to do something. You, this brain, how come you can't be smarter?" Xiao Yuanqing was stunned. What? Even his father needed to look at that girl's face to do something. How is this possible? That girl is just a warrior, not even a summoner. How come his father, such a powerful figure, would be afraid of him? The moment Xiao Yu saw his face, she knew what he was thinking, coldly stating, "Do you know who Princess Beiyu's master is?" "This, I don't know either. I don't even know when did she become so powerful." Don't know. What do you know?" Xiao Qiyuan shouted, not daring to do so with a loud volume. He was afraid Huang Beiyu would hear. Xiao Yuan explained, "Cousin, Princess Beiyu's master is very powerful. I see that on the entire Cardi mainland, only very few dared to provoke." Xiao Yuanqing's face changed, stuttering, "That powerful?" Xiao Yu stared at his expression. In her heart, she was in disdain. Since childhood, he hadn't tried hard enough. Now that he was old, he still didn't use much of his brain. "Humph, in the future when he suffered, don't go begging for them." Xiao Yu humphed, "I see that besides Guang Yao Dian and Xiao Luoqing, there isn't many who dared to provoke the masters in that rank. Cousin, you need to be careful. Our family Xiao, from now on, will never go against Princess Beiyu. If you don't do what's best, then we will separate ourselves from you." "Father, what you're saying is that I need to look at that girl's face before doing something from now on." Xiao Yuanqing was dissatisfied in his heart. Xiao Qiyuan peered at him coldly, "Then what else do you want to do?" For a while, Xiao Yuanqing had no idea either. Before, he had secretly arranged people to make a move towards Huang Beiyu. However, he hadn't gotten the time to do so when something happened to Xiao Zhongqi. The prefecture of Anguogong had fixed their attention on them, so the couple of masters that he wasn't able to send them out. Therefore, until now, he still didn't make a move. However, based on the situation now, he needed to make a decision. He didn't want to go through the days where he was pressured and pressed down upon in the prefecture like how he was when Princess Zhang was still alive. "Father's meaning, I understand." Xiao Yuanqing respectfully replied, "Father, go back and rest sooner. The matters of the prefecture, you don't need to worry about it." "Hopefully I really don't need to worry about it." Xiao Qiyuan didn't look at him, bringing his people and leaving. Xiao Yuancheng looked at Lu Yungu. He thought back to Xiao Yu's words and he didn't dare to go in himself. The master of the prefecture, 1, in his heart, he made a plan as to how to go against Huang Beiyu. He will go the whole way. Lu Yungu, young miss, who knew that even the Lord's father was scared to that point. Dongling smiled, covering her mouth. Huang Beiyu slightly squinted her eyes. He's not scared of me. It's the person behind me. Dongling's smile slowly vanished. That master is that powerful. I don't care if he's powerful or not. It's just that with him being the support behind my back and my shield, I don't need to worry about too much when doing something. Huang Beiyu held on to the teacup, coldly lifting the corner of her lips up. Xiao Qiyuan already said it. If I don't teach the family Zhao's people a lesson, then wouldn't I disappoint him? Dongling revealed a grin. Dongling have been waiting for this day for a long time. Huang Beiyu stood up, placing her hand in Dongling's to hold. She slowly exclaimed, "Let's go. Let's go to the front hall to see father and the concubines." They walked out of Lu Yungu, and the maids who crossed the road, when seeing them, looked as though they had seen a ghost. They revealed a terrified look and all moved to one side, standing. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Before someone had seen Lord's father's attitude towards her. Even Lord's father, who is an 8-star summoner, had been respectful to her. He addressed her as Princess Beiyu. Therefore, how would the servants dare to be presumptuous? The news had traveled from one person's mouth to 10 other people. Quickly, it had spread within the prefecture of Princess Zhang. Everyone knew that the Lord's father had ordered for Princess Beiyu to look after the people of family Xiao. With the Lord's father's public support, this prefecture of Princess Zhang, from now on, Princess Beiyu would be the master. These maids all knew how to look at someone's face. They are best at being flexible and taking advantage of the situation. Based on today's situation, they didn't even care about concubine Qin and Shua anymore. Who do they count as? Even if it's the Lord, he originally was the emperor's son-in-law who lived in the wife's house. He's not the actual master of the prefecture of Princess Zhang. Those who had bullied Huang Beiyu before were all frightened for themselves. Their hair stood up straight as though it was the end of the world. Those pairs of eyes only dared to quietly raise up to take a quick look before immediately lowering it down again. When they walked to the garden, Huang Beiyu suddenly stopped. Dongling called for a maid who was by the fake mountains, saying, "Sister Beiyu, sorry to put you to trouble, but can you please deliver some words to concubine Qin, asking for her to come to the front hall to drink some tea? If it's convenient, go and call for concubine Shua and the Lord over as well." The maid called Beiyu didn't even dare to raise her head to look at Dongling. She stood trembling and panicking. When she heard Dongling's words, she immediately nodded her head, "Yes, yes. This maid will immediately go." This place by the fake mountains was where Huang Beiyu had killed someone with a whip. The people were originally already petrified in their hearts. Now that Huang Beiyu was personally here, it gave them a different feeling. Huang Beiyu looked towards the remains of the blood stains on the fake mountains. Her eyebrows were scrunched. How come the blood isn't cleared? What is the point of leaving the blood? Do you guys all like to see blood? Princess, please show mercy. This servant will clean it right now. It will be done cleaning quickly. A servant kneeled down. In his hands, he held brushes, buckets and such. Before, indeed, he held the order to clean the blood from here. Princess doesn't like to see blood, sorry to trouble you. Dongling smiled. Yes, yes. That servant kowtowed as though he was about to commit suicide. A part of his forehead was already red from bruising up. The master of the prefecture, too, when he raised his head, he saw that Huang Beiyu had walked away. Then, he fell on the ground on his butt. The feet and hands were trembling. Too scary, too scary. Although she looked to be around a 12-year-old girl, the clothes she wore made her look composed and stylish. She was elegant and outstanding, her temperament also calm as though she was Princess Zhang. But there were still places that were different. On Huang Beiyu's body, there is a solemn murderous spirit. In her every moment, it was revealed as though she was naturally walking out from the Azura. It's just a faint look, and this led people to feel numb the whole body. This type of person, how could they think she was a useless person before? They thought she was a sick person who could be bullied however they wanted to. They really are blind. In the front hall, the moment Huang Beiyu sat down, the maids hurried to place the warm tea and snacks down. The hand in which they held the plate trembled with fear. Huang Beiyu used the back of her hand to support a side of her face. She slightly drooped her eyes down, and with the other hand, she picked up the teacup. Dongling hurriedly raised her hand over, in a small voice, "Young miss, this tea, there won't be a problem." Before, she took specialized training with different types of poisons, even neurotoxins. She was very sensitive to different types of poisons. If there was a problem with the tea, she would have detected it already. Plus, after she was punished by the punishment flame, she was basically immune to all sorts of poisons. She slowly sipped half a cup of tea when concubine Xue came over, bringing Xiao Zhongqin and Xiao Yun. Today, she was soaked in the lotus pond for half a day, so concubine Qin's face was pale white. Right now, she had cleaned off her body, but it was still obvious of her dejected look after being scared. She held on to Xiao Zhongqi's hand and the cold sweat dripped down her face. She was lacking in spirit, so it seemed as though she was sick. Huang Beiyu lowered her eyes, blowing at the bubbles in the tea. She pretended as though she didn't see, letting concubine Qin stand there for a while in her sick manner. Xiao Zhongqi's angry face became more and more visible. Slowly, he was unable to calm down, opening his mouth. "Third sister, why did you order for people to call us over for?" Huang Beiyu then raised her head, smiling. "As it turned out, elder brother concubine Qin are here. How come you guys didn't say anything? Quickly sit." Concubine Qin looked as though your body isn't that well. What happened? Xiao Zhongqi coldly humphed. He helped concubine Qin sit down on the chair. This Huang Beiyu knew how to act. All these years, he was fooled by her. Humph, his mother was harmed by her to this point. She was not even embarrassed to ask what happened? Huang Beiyu turned her head around to look at Xiao Zhongqi's face. She faintly smiled. "Elder brother's mood doesn't seem to be that good." Xiao Zhongqi was about to reply when concubine Qin secretly pulled at the sleeves of his shirt. Concubine Qin smiled. "What is the third young miss saying?" "It's just that my body isn't that great and Chier is just worried." "Oh, Huang Beiyu purposefully dragged the letter out. She smiled with unknown intentions. "Elder brother, you are very obedient." Concubine Qin's heart was pumping rapidly due to her "oh." She hurriedly inquired, "What is the matter for the third young miss to call us over for?" The experience today by the lotus pond, concubine Qin was unable to forget about this her whole life. She was mentally afraid of Huang Beiyu's methods, plus when Xiao Zhongqi exclaimed that she had heavily injured the prefecture of the government ministers Lin Ziqing, she was even more petrified. Originally, she had gotten only a little cold. It would be all good when she goes back home to sleep and drink some warm ginger soup. However, when she was sleeping, she started to remember all the things she had done to Huang Beiyu in the past. The master of the prefecture, 3, she dreamed that she came back for revenge and also killed her, hanging her on the fake mountains. After she wakened up from the dream, the entire body collapsed. Now, as long as there is a slight movement, it was easy for her to lose her head out of fear. In the past, she was never someone who got scared easily. But this time, it was obvious that she was very terrified. Huang Bei stared at her frightful look and faintly smiled. Actually, there isn't really a matter. It's just that in the past, my body isn't that well, plus I am also very young, so all the things in the prefecture, I had to trouble concubine Xue and Qin to manage it. I feel very apologetic, so today, I especially found concubine Xue and Qin to come together to thank you, guys. Concubine Qin's originally pale white face, after hearing the words, turned even paler. She forced a smile on. The third young miss is saying some harsh words. These are all things that the Lord had ordered. I was just doing my best. The two hands, under the sleeves, tightly entangled each other. A mouthful of blood was in her throat, and even if she wanted to vomit, she wasn't able to. This day finally came. She knew that when Huang Bei grew up, she would ask about family matters. But who knew that this girl who was only half grown up had already started to intervene with the matters? All these years of building an enterprise, would she need to give this away? What the Lord's father had made clear, father is worrying too much about. Huang Bei drank a cup of tea and raised her head up. Right then, she saw Xiao Yuancheng and concubine Xue walking in. Xiao Yun and Xiao Zhonglei were behind too. There was also a couple of young concubines, bring their young children and those who hadn't given birth to any too. The last person who followed, coming in, was Xiao Ling's mother, concubine Fang. This concubine Fang wore simple clothes, and on an average year, she was a vegetarian. She stood aloof from worldly affairs and normally didn't come out either. At the Chinese New Year or other festivities, she just occasionally came out to make an appearance, then went back. It was heard that her body wasn't that well and her personality was quite gentle and quiet. It was unclear how she gave birth to Xiao Ling, that type of daughter. One time, Huang Bei was bullied and she hid by concubine Fang's Cui Zhu Yuan. Concubine Fang had given her some foods to eat and even protected her a couple times. Remembering this kindness, when she handled Xiao Ling, she would also be less strict on her. The moment Xiao Yuanqing walked into the door, he saw that Huang Bei sat on the master's seat. His face was a little unhappy. Huang Bei opened her mouth first. Father is here. Quickly come sit. All the concubines, please take a seat too. Brothers and sisters, take a seat too. Concubine Xue stared at concubine Qin. She watched her expression and in her heart, she was pondering. Could it be that Huang Bei was starting to intervene with the family matters? Everyone all got into their seats. The maids brought the tea up, then Huang Bei slowly exclaimed, "Before, I had said this to concubine Qin. These couple of years, father and the concubines have been hard at work, managing the family matters. Now that father is turning old and has a group of daughters and sons, it is time for you to live in ease and comfort with the concubines." Her words were not finished when Xiao Yuanqing was restless. "Bei, you're still young and you want to monopolize the authority." Huang Bei dropped the teacup down and blinked her eyes. She looked to be innocent and naive, not mad at all. She grinned, inquiring, "What does father mean by this statement?" Xiao Yuanqing retorted, "All the matters in the prefecture, all the years, it's always been you and the concubines managing after it. Even if the power should be let go, you should follow the order of the seniority and let your brothers and sisters take over." Follow the order of the seniority. Huang Bei's gaze landed on the young masters and young misses in the hall and swept her gaze through each one, smiling. "Should I dare to ask the father that of the brothers and sisters, who else is born from the same mother as I am? Who is the first daughter of the first lady within the prefecture?" The master of the prefecture, for anger appeared on the faces of Xiao Zhongqi, Xiao Yun, and the others. Xiao Yuancheng's face turned ugly as he said angrily, our residence only has the distinction of between the seniors and juniors. How can there be any difference between D and Shu? 1. Birth. A cold light flashed in Huang Beiyu's eyes, but she wasn't angered at all. She only used her finger to slowly stroke the golden cup. This momentary silence caused Xiao Yuanqing, who was filled with anger, to feel increasingly uncertain in his heart as he waited for Huang Beiyu to refute him. What does she mean by not speaking? Does it mean that she agrees with him or what? This girl is truly lacking in manners the more she grows up. Playing with psychological tactics, she is an expert on it. She was silent for a while. Who in the hall wasn't nervous like Xiao Yuanqing as they waited for her to speak? However, the more they waited, the more they could see her increasingly cold and calm expression. Her pink lips were slightly pursed and her expression was languid. It was unknown whether she was angry or was scheming something bad. Just when everyone was silent, concubine Xue suddenly said, "What do you mean, third miss? Say something." Her voice was not loud, and just as she spoke, Huang Beiyu's fingers moved. The glazed gold teacup suddenly fell from the table, shattering into pieces as it hit the floor. This action gave everyone a fright. Huang Beiyu suddenly stood up. The calm expression on her face disappeared in an instant. Her expression became a bit severe as she extended her slender finger towards concubine Xue and said, "Dongling, slap her." "Yes," Dongling answered and walked over in large strides. Before Xiao Yun, who was standing next to concubine Xue, could react, Dongling had already slapped concubine Xue fiercely in the face. It was even more ruthless than the last time when concubine Xue hit her. One slap to the face already made blood trickle from the corner of concubine Xue's mouth. She was stupefied. "Damned girl. Are tired of living." Xiao Yun immediately reacted and raised her hand. Essence Qi had already gathered in the palm of her hand. If this palm strikes Dongling, Dongling would definitely lose her life. "Are you rebelling?" Huang Beiyu simply swept the teapot and the flower pots to the ground, shattering it into pieces. A sharp light flashed past her eyes. Xiao Yun's heart jumped as she immediately retracted her raised hand. But after she thought about how she was so useless to just retract her hand, she asked, "Huang Beiyu, what do you mean by that? What mistake did my mother commit that you actually ordered a servant girl to hit her?" Instead of getting angry, Huang Beiyu laughed. "All right, I see that this residence really doesn't put a distinction in status. Father's indulgence is great. Which concubine in the capital would dare to yell at the D-daughter? Not to mention that concubine Xue is still just a concubine right now. Even if you help her become the legal wife, this is Princess Zhang's residence. This residence hasn't become the Xiao residence. I, Huang Beiyu, am still alive. Or could it be that you all wish to overturn the heaven?" Xiao Yun glared at her and said, "Even if you are a noble princess, your father is still here. If you knew anything about filial piety, would you still be so rude to your father?" Good. She wants to push her down with the feelings of a father and daughter. What is filial piety? Don't be ridiculous. Is Xiao Yuanqing even worthy of it? Second sister still remembers that I'm a princess. Do you remember what my surname is? From ancient times until now, it was first the ruler and his subjects. Then it was father and son. Don't you know anything about the 3 principles and 5 virtues, too? Xiao Yun was stunned. She braced herself and said, "This is at home, not the court." Second sister's meaning is, at home, you can have no respect for the monarch. You can disregard the emperor and his subjects. Do you know how heavy this crime is if this is spread around? Second sister, the one who doesn't understand filial piety is you. Do you want to implicate father and kill him? 1. D and Shu, in imperial China, officials would have one main wife and multiple concubines. Sons and daughters born from the main wife are called di, which means that they are the legitimate sons and daughters of that official. While sons and daughters born from a concubine are called shu, they have significantly less right/power than those who are born from the main wife. 2. 3 principles and 5 virtues. The 3 rules: ruler guides subject, father guides son and husband guides wife, and 5 constant virtues of Confucianism: benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom and fidelity. The master of the prefecture, 5, concubine Shui hurriedly pulled Xiao Yun. This big of a crime, if it was pointed at their heads, they wouldn't be able to endure the consequences. What they suffered today, they could only hold it in. Third young miss, don't be mad. It is me who was too reckless, saying inappropriate words. The third young miss said the right thing. I should slap myself. Half the side of concubine Shui's face was still swollen. She looked towards Xiao Yuanqing, her eyes filled with grievances. The eyelids were slightly red and swollen. Huang Beiyu smiled. Since the concubine admits that she is wrong, it's not good if I punish too harshly. Just slap yourself 3 times and it will be fine. Dong Ling had already slapped one, so the other 2, Xia and I, will do so. On the surface, she was purposefully letting her go as she is making Xia and I slap her. She definitely won't slap too harshly. But letting a maid slap her own master, that would be a deep insult. Concubine Shui bit on the bottom of her lips and that Xia and I immediately kneeled on the ground. This maid doesn't dare to. Useless thing. What is the point for the prefecture to take care of you then? You won't even listen to the master's words. Huang Beiyu's face turned cold. Pull her off and hit her 10 times with the plank. The servants who stood outside looked at each other. They knew that today wasn't like the past anymore. This Princess Beiyu, within the prefecture today, was setting up her prestige. Now that she also had the support of the Lord's father, who dared to go against her orders. They immediately went in to pull Xia and I out to beat her. From the yard, there came the sound of tragic screaming. The maids in the front hall all held pale white faces. They knew that Princess Beiyu was a figure who would not change her decisions at all. Huang Beiyu faintly glanced at concubine Shui. Xia Chun, you come. Yes. With Xia and I, this lesson learned from the previous mistake, Xiao Chun didn't dare to hesitate at all. She walked up, exclaiming to concubine Shui, Concubine, this maid is receiving the orders to do so. Please don't blame it on me. As she finished, she slapped the 2 sides of her faces with 2 hands. The 2 slaps fell on her face, not being vague at all. Xiao Yun tightly held on to her fist. Concubine Shui clenched her teeth. After she was slapped, she tugged at her swelled face, standing up to salute to Huang Beiyu. Thanks third young miss for showing some mercy. As long as the concubine remembers her lesson. Huang Beiyu faintly announced, not looking at her anymore. She looked towards Xiao Yuanqing. On the other hand, Father, Beiyu is still young and doesn't know her manners. There are some things that aren't resolved in the best way they can be. I will be troubling you to remind me sometimes. Remind her. Xiao Yuanqing snorted. What happened before? Was there room for him to remind her? This girl has a fluent mouth and even the black could be said as white. Not only that, there was no space for them to even go against it. The poison of the mouth, Xiao Yuanqing had seen this for the first time in his whole life. His woman, his daughter, and son had all been wronged, yet there was nothing he could do about it. He could only glare at her. Don't mention how unhappy he was in his heart. Humph, your matter, you look to see how to resolve it. However, the concubines are still your seniors. You are the junior. You should know the appropriate behaviors and not let outsiders say that there is no order within the prefecture of Princess Zhang. Yes, Beiyu will definitely take this to heart. Huang Beiyu nodded her head modestly. Then she changed the subject all of a sudden, the matter that Beiyu had brought up. How did the father think about it? Xiao Yuanqing humphed loudly from his nose. This matter, let's talk about it when you're older. Right now, it's not the best time. Huang Beiyu slowly sat down, playing with the tassels on the hem of her dress. Father is scared that I won't be able to manage after the prefecture of Princess Zhang. You're still young, so naturally there will be places where you didn't consider about. Father's worry isn't without reason. I am young and don't have experiences, but in the future, one day, the prefecture of Princess Zhang will be managed by me. Therefore, some things, what I need to know, I should know about it earlier. I see that today, we should let housekeeper Zhou bring the account book over so I can first view it and then slowly learn about it in the future. The master of the prefecture, 6. This, father, you don't need to worry about this. I will definitely try my best to learn about this and don't make a tantrum out of it. Huang Beiyu interrupted Xiao Yuancheng's words. That look was as though a sensible, well-mannered, obedient daughter. Xiao Yuancheng had no words to say. In his heart, he was thinking about quickly moving his properties that he had accumulated many years away to someplace else. This girl had just first started to look at the account book. What can she see from this? Housekeeper Zhou wasn't someone to be reckoned with either. However, Xiao Yuancheng's calculations about Huang Beiyu were inaccurate. If she was someone to hold information against someone else from the account book, then she would be too weak. Huang Beiyu already let Dong Ling go out and deliver some words, letting the housekeeper Zhou bring over all the account books that were in the prefecture. That housekeeper Zhou was a smart person. He secretly glanced at concubine Shui and Qin's tragic looks and Xiao Yuancheng's helplessness before letting someone grab them. Normally, when he made the accounts, he was very detailed. After all, he was betting that a 12-year-old girl wouldn't be able to see anything from this. The account books weren't here yet, but Huang Beiyu quietly said another couple sentences to Dong Ling. Dong Ling smiled, walking out. No one knew what she wanted to do and no one dared to follow out. Quickly, housekeeper Zhou had brought the account books over. He personally brought it over, giving it to Huang Beiyu. They're a tall stack of account books, letting people have a headache when they had seen it. Huang Beiyu casually flipped over one book, flipping over a couple of pages. Although she hadn't seen the ancient times account books, after all her wisdom was still the rank of a genius. In modern times, for tasks, she had dipped into economics. Therefore, this account book, she looked at it for a couple of seconds and knew what was going on. This housekeeper Zhou was worthy of being a careful person. On the account book, he had made it so not a single drop of water could leak out, not even a spider's thread could be seen from this. No wonder concubine Qin had bought him, making him her trusted aide. Hee. On one hand, she drank tea and on the other hand, she slowly looked through the account book. In the front hall, there were many pairs of eyes staring at her, waiting for her to say something. However, she said nothing, as though she was really concentrated in looking through the account book. Concubine Qin had been soaked in the lotus pond the whole day, then get frightened. Now, she was unable to sit down anymore. Her body was rocking and her face was pale white. Xiao Zhongqi watched. Third sister, if you are going to look through the account books, then look through them. We will go back first. Huang Beiyu raised her head to stare at him, lazily exclaiming, Elder brother, today we are discussing family matters. In concubine Qin's hands, she had taken care of many account books as well. She cannot be absent. Xiao Zhongqi was about to open his mouth when suddenly, Dong Ling was outside yelling, just place it here. Everyone was stunned, not sure what had happened. They all turned their heads around to watch, only to see Dong Ling ordering people to carry a couple of huge boxes into the yard. There were a couple of tens of boxes, all locked with locks. There was no clue as to what was inside the boxes. Housekeeper Zhou turned his head around to look and suddenly his face changed. He quickly walked out. What are you guys doing? This is my possession. How come you guys are carrying this out? Dongling lifted her head, grinning. We naturally know these are Housekeeper Zhou's possessions. If there was nothing that couldn't be seen, is it not okay to open it for everyone to see? No. Housekeeper Zhou's face was red, angry but also afraid. These are my personal items. Princess cannot casually just look through my personal items, right? Personal items. Dongling raised her eyebrows. She glanced at the tens of boxes. Housekeeper Zhou's personal items, don't you think it's rather too much? Forgive me for saying something not pleasing to the ears, but I heard that within our prefecture's storage, it had always been lacking resources. I have suspicions that someone is stuffing their pockets of the resources. If Housekeeper Zhou is open and candid, then take the lead and show everyone what things you have. The master of the prefecture, 7, you are speaking nonsense. I didn't stuff my pockets with the resources. How come you guys are searching through my things? Housekeeper Zhou raised his neck, not letting them search through his things no matter what. Dongling stated, whether if there is or not, we will find out once we take a look. Housekeeper Zhou, later on, Princess wants you to take people to search the other rooms. If you are not able to convince the masses, who will let you search them later on? Housekeeper Zhou's face was pale white. The cold sweat dripped down and he secretly took a look at Concubine Qin as well as Xiao Yuanqing. Concubine Qin's face was pale white to its extremes. Xiao Yuanqing was also infuriated, turning around to Huang Beiyu. How come you want to search the rooms all of a sudden? This matter, this girl had never mentioned it in the past. It was sudden that they were now unexpected. Huang Beiyu laughed in her heart. Of course, she needed to do this suddenly. Otherwise, she will notify them earlier on so that they can be prepared and hide all the items. This matter, I had also only thought about it recently. Before, I just remembered, so I let Dongling to go do it. Huang Beiyu raised her head, smiling as though nothing happened. There was not a look as though she had plotted this before. Housekeeper Zhou's personality, I believe him. He is someone that my mother had left, making him stay. He absolutely wouldn't be stuffing his pockets and colluding with outsiders to harm the prefecture of Princess Zhang. Xiao Yuanqing was silent. The body was faintly trembling. The anger was about to explode. Since you believe him, then there is no need to search. Housekeeper Zhou is an old man of the prefecture. Now that you do this, wouldn't this harm everyone's feelings? That is also true. But now that so many boxes are carried out, if we don't search it, everyone's heart will probably not be convinced. After she finished, Huang Beiyu raised her eyes. The cold gaze faintly swept from the front hall to the yard to all the servants and maids' bodies. Everyone who interacted with her cold and icy glance all moved back. They harshly gulped their saliva. Does everyone think there should be the need to search or no? She picked up the teacup and slowly opened her mouth, inquiring. Those maids and servants all looked at each other. In the end, they all surrendered under Huang Beiyu's powerful imposing manner, all nodding their heads. Search. Search. After searching the housekeeper, we will then be convinced. Right, we definitely need to search it. Xiao Yuanqing really wanted to clap his hand on the table, dragging these servants who had moved to the other side and slaughtering them. But once he saw this type of situation, in Xiao Yuanqing's heart, it was also in chaos. All the things in the boxes were private treasures from the prefecture of Princess Zhang. He saw that they were pretty good, so he took them all out. One part of it, he left them down to keep for himself. Another part of it, he told housekeeper Zhou to look after them. These 2 days, he was going to go around to form relationships with others, gifting the bosses gifts in order to steady his position in the military. Conveniently, his position as the emperor's son-in-law should be raised as well. All these years, could it be that his whole life, he could only be the emperor's son-in-law? He had already let housekeeper Zhou make movements on the account books. Many gold coins were also transferred out. Little by little, it was all stored in Lanmu card, ready to be sent out. Now, all these things were locked in the boxes. If they were to search the boxes, wouldn't it be revealing that he had been making housekeeper Zhou making fake account books? It really was God's plans supersede our own. He should have placed the items in the space ring. But in the past, he had been thinking about gifting them to people, so he had taken them all out. Plus, how could he have possibly thought that Huang Beiyu would suddenly change as a person? However, it wasn't that easy for Huang Beiyu to search it either. The keys to the boxes, he had been personally keeping them. This type of heavy locks and metal boxes were especially used by noble families to hide items. It was not easily opened. The master of the prefecture, 8, once he thought up to here, Xiao Yuanqing was slightly more comforted. He silently made a look towards housekeeper Zhou. The housekeeper Zhou understood, exclaiming, "Princess, it's not that this servant doesn't let you search it, but that the key to this box, I had lost it a couple of days ago. Such a heavy box, today, we probably won't be able to open it. How about you search it next time? After all, this box won't be able to run away anyway." Unable to open this, Huang Beiyu slowly played with the leaves within the teacup. She suddenly smiled and took out a black dagger from her space ring. "This is the icy dagger that the Lord's father had just gifted me. I heard that it peels metal off as though it was mud. I'm not sure if I am able to use this to open the lock. Dongling, you go try this." "Yes." Dongling walked up to pick up the dagger. Xiao Yuanqing quickly stood up. "No." Huang Beiyu raised her head to ask, "Why not?" "Even if that lock is damaged, I will repay a better one to housekeeper Zhou." Xiao Yuanqing's face was turning ugly and the two hands tightly formed fists. The bones were cracking. Huang Beiyu stared at his expression and coldly laughed. Today, she was only punishing an individual to set an example for others. She definitely will search that housekeeper Zhou and take the evidence that he was stuffing his pockets with resources. Next, she will have the excuse to reorganize the financial affairs within the prefecture without restraint. That housekeeper Zhou, today, she must teach him a lesson. She didn't care if Xiao Yuanqing would let her or not. Huang Beiyu wanted to do the things, you have the ability to stop me. The Lord's father had already said so today, for me to tidy up the family manners. There must be someone to take the lead. Housekeeper Zhou, all these years, you had contributed to the prefecture a lot and am old now. Don't blame me for making it feel as though you are wronged. It's all those who resort to a negative style of manner and stuffed their pockets who were traitors, causing mischief. When this princess catches them, I will harshly peel their skins off and help you vent your anger." It was still good when housekeeper Zhou hadn't listened to this, but when he heard this, goosebumps appeared all over his body. Peel off their skins. There was no one here who dared to take Huang Beiyu's as a joke. Today, the harsh methods in which she killed the servant, everyone had witnessed this. Who dared to be suspicious that she was just joking? Housekeeper Zhou hurriedly cast a look towards Xiao Yuanqing, begging for help. This Huang Beiyu was the real daughter of the Lord. As long as the Lord had made an order, so what if she was the princess? Could it be that she will refuse her own father? Xiao Yuanqing also had this decision in mind. But he knew that Huang Beiyu was no the normal type of daughter. This girl, with one mouth, was able to make things seem more exaggerated and such. He needed to think about what to say. Looks like even father had agreed to this. Dongling, open the box. Xiao Yuanqing was not even given time to think about what to say when Huang Beiyu had already commanded Dongling. Dongling moved quickly, bypassing housekeeper Zhou, and the dagger had landed. The lock heavily landed on the ground, and when housekeeper Zhou saw this, he pounced on it. The entire body pressed down against the box. Housekeeper Zhou, what are you doing? In this box, could it be that there are some things that we shouldn't be seeing? Dongling turned her head around to inquire. Housekeeper Zhou shook his head continuously. No. There is nothing. Xiao Yuanqing yelled, enough. What is there to search? Beiyu, you had done enough disturbance today. Go back to your room and rest. Disturbance? Huang Beiyu's face slowly turned cold. She dropped the teacup, standing up. What father had said made my heart feel chilling awe. Today, the Lord's father had made clear to me to tidy up the family manners. I am young, so I am afraid I won't be able to convince the masses, so I wanted to start from housekeeper Zhou in order to set an example. However, the father is saying that I am making a disturbance. Beiyu had placed a lot of thoughts into this. Isn't that all for the prefecture of Princess Zhang? But it's going over the lines by searching through the rooms. Xiao Yuanqing shouted. That box had been opened. If the items inside were seen by everyone, then he would. The master of the prefecture, 9, going over the lines. Well, the father can go out and make some inquiries. Which family in the capital has not searched the rooms before? I was just punishing a little to prevent a bigger mistake. Compared to other families, this is still called going over the lines. Huang Beiyu directly walked out. She walked to the door and raised her fingers, saying, What are you standing here for? Quickly help the housekeeper Zhou up. A couple of stunned servants, as soon as they heard Huang Beiyu's orders, they subconsciously followed the commands. They walked over and pulled housekeeper Zhou up, who was holding tightly onto the boxes as though an octopus. Dongling opened the cover of the box. At that moment, golden bright lights assaulted people's faces. In there was actually a whole box of golden treasures. There were many different kinds of delicate items, and on the top, it was embedded with different colored gems. That type of light nearly blinded one's eyes. The housekeeper, all of a sudden, was like a balloon that had air leaking out. He fell limp on the ground. Dongling consecutively opened the other boxes. Each time she opened one, the surrounding people will all let out a cold gasp. In these boxes, it contained all valuable golden and silver wares. There were also antiques, paintings, jade artifacts, coral, pearls, etc. They were a dazzling sight to the eyes, leading it to be a feast for the eyes. Huang Beiyu stared at the housekeeper Zhou, who seemed to be flattened. In her heart, she was cheering for herself for catching him. She just wanted to open her mouth to let people beat him up with sticks and force him to say who was the person that made him hide all these items. He was just a small housekeeper. Even if he had a lot of courage, he definitely would not dare to steal that many items from the prefecture of Princess Zhang. Does he take those brilliant concubines to be blind people? She hadn't opened her mouth when Xiao Yuanqing had already done so, screeched at him, What a great servant for lying to your superiors and hiding it from your kind. You dared to secretly store all these valuables. Do you know what crime you're committing right now? Xiao Yuanqing walked out, kicking the housekeeper Zhou over. If there was a sword in his hand, he probably would have killed him with a sword already. Housekeeper Zhou answered, scaredly, This person understands that he is wrong, understands that he is wrong. These things, this person didn't secretly store them. I was trying to place them and then carry them into the storage room. If it was supposed to be carried into the storage room, then how come you wouldn't let us search it before? Dongling wasn't that easy to be lied to. She immediately inquired. Housekeeper Zhou responded, "It's because this person is afraid that this person will be accused by the princess." Nonsense. The princess can distinguish the right from the wrong. How could she accuse wrongly of you? I see that you are probably just lying to us. Dongling yelled, raising her hand. At this time, she was not afraid of that Xiao Yuanqing. Lord, secretly storing these valuables is a serious crime. Based on this maid's views, he should be sent to Ting Wei Si for them to investigate this. Ting Wei Si, if he was sent to Ting Wei Si, then what good would that be? That Ting Wei Geng was famous for being upright and plain-spoken. If he were to investigate this, then the whole prefecture of Princess Zhang will be under investigation. Then at that time, no one would be able to escape. Family shames must not be spread abroad. If this matter were to be revealed, there will be many people watching a joke. Why send him to Ting Wei Si? Xiao Yuanqing lowly hollered. Father is saying the right thing. Huang Beiyu looked at the boxes filled with treasures and her face was icy cold. Housekeeper Zhou, my mother, when she was still alive, she treated you not badly. What you had done today really opened lens to a new world. Princess, show some mercy. Housekeeper Zhou kneeled on the ground. He was shaking and kept on asking for mercy. Huang Beiyu responded, if I were to send you to Ting Wei Si, based on your crimes, not only will you die but your wives and children will all be on the book of servants. In the master's house, stealing, the faces will be marked with the stamp of a servant. This whole life, you won't have a day where you will be free. Housekeeper Zhou kept on trembling and the teeth were chattering. He secretly raised his head towards Xiao Yuanqing and concubine Qin. These precious treasures, he won't be able to obtain any of them. However, he was doing this for the lord and concubine Qin. If something were to happen to him, they probably won't let him just take on the crime names himself, right? The master of the prefecture, 10, however, Huang Beiyu changed the word, faintly exclaiming, Housekeeper Zhou had been in the prefecture of Princess Zhang for many years. You have done a lot of labor. Although you had made a mistake and was confused, however, your crime isn't serious to the point where you need to die. You also don't need to be sent to Ting Wei Si. Housekeeper Zhou let out a sigh. Xiao Yuanqing also let out a long sigh of relief, secretly feeling lucky. Only concubine Xue slightly scrunched her eyebrows. How would this girl easily just let this go? If she didn't use this chance to go all out, then what was the point of going through all that work from before? As she thought about this, she heard Huang Beiyu slowly explaining, today, we had searched so many items from the housekeeper Zhou's room. Most likely, from before, there was even more. After I checked the account books and match it with the items within the storage room, all the things missing, as long as housekeeper Zhou returns them all, then it will be fine. Housekeeper Zhou rapidly lifted his head. Princess, all these things, no matter whether you hid them or sold them, since housekeeper has the courage to steal these items, then most likely all these years, you've gained a lot of profit from this. You need to think of ways to make up for this. Huang Beiyu glanced at him, coldly announcing this. Housekeeper Zhou was flabbergasted. All these years, all the things missing from the prefecture of Princess Zhang, she is making him carry the blame for all and compensating for this? Then wouldn't he become the foolish one? He was just helping someone do their things, and although he had gotten many rewards all these years, how was it enough compared to these precious treasures? This matter of compensating, even if the lord or concubine Qin does this instead, they might not even be able to compensate for all. All these years, all the things that they had sold from the prefecture of Princess Zhang, they probably aren't even able to keep track of this. Housekeeper Zhou thought that this matter had already turned into a huge issue, not something a small housekeeper was able to endure. He raised his head to look at Xiao Yuanqing only to see that his face was filled with gloominess and harshness. He looked Pei Yu, who stood by concubine Qin's side, sinisterly. Housekeeper Zhou's heart was chilly. That Pei Yu was his only daughter. By concubine Qin's side, she was a maid who delivered tea and water. Concubine Qin said that she would treat her as though her own daughter. In the future, when it was time for her to marry, she will be married according to the manner of a young lady. His wife had died early on and he, himself, was one who wasn't able to give birth. He was depending on this daughter to look after him when he was old. However, what was Xiao Yuancheng's meaning right now? He was going to use Pei Yu to threaten him. As long as he assumed the crimes, later on when discussing compensation, it will naturally come by slowly. Xiao Yuancheng will have to think of ideas for him. Huang Beiyu was such an intelligent person and no one would be able to win against her when talking about mental tactics. She slightly looked at Xiao Yuancheng and housekeeper Zhou's face and knew right then what ideas they were trying to play at. The corner of her mouth slightly curled up into an angle and she glanced at Dongling. Her eyes floated to Pei Yu by concubine Qin's side. Dongling was a smart girl. She knew what was going on. Smiling, Sister Pei Yu, normally, I have been seeing that you are different from the other maids. Whether it was the things you eat or wear, it was not any worse than how a master would be treated. As it turned out, housekeeper Zhou has many side doors. It was no wonder that the outsiders are saying that Pei Yu from the prefecture of Princess Zhang was the real young miss. Pei Yu's face turned pale white. She hurriedly kneeled down, panicking. Concubine, princess, this maid didn't. Every time this maid goes out with the concubine was always the one well regarded. How could this maid be compared to the concubine? Oh. Dongling grinned again. Sister Pei Yu is saying that the concubine is well regarded. How well regarded? Concubine Qin kicked Pei Yu over. If you don't know how to speak, then shut up. Saying that out loud, they will be using this against us. Such an idiot. The master of the prefecture, 11, Dongling Gunyang, 1, this servant has a stupid mouth. How could you take her words seriously? How can there be empty words in this world? Moreover, concubine's beauty isn't only seen by Pei Yu Jijia, too, this servant has also seen it. Dongling smiled as she said, but concubine Qin's maternal family is the prime minister's residence, which is rich and powerful. So it's only natural for them to live a well-off and glorious life. Concubine Qin forced a smile. This little girl's words are full of traps, just like her master. How could she dare to respond? If she responds, she might accidentally fall into her trap. Her maternal family is indeed glorious. The Prime Minister's residence is a big title, it is different from concubine Shui. If they want to investigate later, the investigation would start with concubine Shui first. Seeing the normally arrogant and glorious concubines, young masters, and young misses in the lobby, all of their faces turned pale white. While the unfavored and powerless concubines and young misses started to gloat in delight. They were all waiting to see a good show. Huang Beiyu walked slowly from the door to the corridor. Dongling immediately went up to her and supported her hand. The people sitting in the hall didn't know what she was going to do, so they all followed her. After so many years, I originally thought that the family property left behind by my mother would be well managed by the steward, well cared for by my father, and highly valued by the various concubines. Who would have thought that after only 4 years since my mother had left, the residence is already completely overturned? Steward Zhou, the surprise you gave me today isn't small. Huang Beiyu glared at Steward Zhou, who is kneeling on the ground and kowtowing. Princess, please spare my life. I am not greedy, this is real, really, don't talk nonsense. If you want to fool me again, I will send Pei Yu to the border to serve as a military prostitute. Huang Beiyu's crisp shout shocked everyone. Someone come and beat him. Beat him until he speaks the truth, Huang Beiyu loudly commanded. Those servants are new to the residence. Just a moment ago, they were bribed by Dongling. So now they naturally listened to Huang Beiyu's command. They took out a thick stick and pressed Steward Zhou to the ground, ruthlessly hitting him with the stick. These new servants did not have much status in the residence and were being suppressed at every turn. Their resentment against Steward Zhou wasn't a one-day or two-day thing. Now, this was a good opportunity to vent it all. Princess. Princess, have mercy. This humble one has been wronged, this humble one has been wrongly accused. Princess, this is obtaining confession through torture, Steward Zhou screamed his lungs out. That stick was ruthlessly beating him, and yet he still didn't spit out the truth. Huang Beiyu stood on the steps, looking at him coldly. She suddenly said, drag Peiyu out and hit her too. Princess. Princess, please spare this servant. Peiyu cried as she knelt down, tightly holding onto the hem of concubine Qin's skirt, not wanting to let go. Right now, it was already hard for concubine Qin to protect herself, so how could she care about this girl? She lifted her leg and kicked her. The two servants came over and dragged Peiyu out. They threw her in the yard and hit her with a stick. Father, father, save me. It hurts, father. Father. Peiyu has a delicate and tender body. How she withstand such a staunch rod? It only took a few moments for her to start screaming like a pig that is being butchered. Steward Zhou's but had been beaten so badly that it blossomed. He had been enduring it with all his might for his daughter. But now that his daughter was being tortured, he raised his head and finally asked Xiao Yuancheng for help. Xiao Yuancheng's expression was ugly. He couldn't intervene in this matter at all. First, it was because Huang Beiyu's power is unfathomable. The person behind her was someone that even the old master was wary of. He didn't dare to provoke her. Secondly, in Princess Zhang's residence, Princess Beiyu was the true master. 1. Gunyang, girl or young lady. 2. Jijia, older sister. The master of the prefecture, 12, after all, his surname was Xiao. If Huang Beiyu wanted to be in charge of this, he wouldn't be able to stop this. This housekeeper Zhou, in the past, he knew too many things about him. Plus, this matter, he also needed a scapegoat. Might as well let Huang Beiyu beat him to death. A dead person's mouth is the most reliable. At this time, as long as he saved Peiyu, housekeeper Zhou would be willing to die for him. Once he thought up to here, Xiao Yuanqing exclaimed to Huang Beiyu, Beiyu, the person who made a mistake is her father. It has nothing to do with his daughter. Let Peiyu, that girl, go. When he listened up to this part, housekeeper Zhou understood. Xiao Yuanqing wanted him to become the scapegoat. Letting Huang Beiyu beat him to death would be able to save his daughter, Peiyu's life. Was this exchange worth it or not? Cold light flashed by Huang Beiyu's eyes. She will not grant their wish. Humph, housekeeper Zhou, this crime, he had stolen things from the prefecture of Princess Zhang. Even if he was sent to Tingwei Sea and sentenced the whole family to die, this was still considered a light punishment. Plus, the death of a father, the daughter will have to compensate for it. This housekeeper Zhou would not plead guilty, so his daughter either will be sent to Tingwei Sea as a military prostitute or throw her out of the prefecture after making her handicapped. No, no. I plead guilty. I plead guilty. Housekeeper Zhou began yelling as though heartbroken. Stop. Princess, please stop. This person will speak the truth, will speak the entire truth. Huang Beiyu slightly raised her hand and a couple of servants halted. Even the sticks contained blood stains. Housekeeper Zhou climbed over, hugging his daughter. pay you. The tears fell down the face. As long as the princess promises to keep my daughter safe and for the rest of her life to live by peacefully, I will say everything. Housekeeper Zhou, you are trying to bargain with me? Huang Beiyu faintly inquired. Housekeeper Zhou, this person doesn't dare to. It's just that this person only has one daughter. Although it is not pitiful for me to die, this matter has nothing to do with Peiyu. She is innocent. Princess, please investigate thoroughly. Huang Beiyu nodded her head. Peiyu is innocent. I naturally know. It's just that the mistakes that you committed involved her in this matter. However, if you are willing to say the truth, from now on, Peiyu will follow me. In the future, I will find a good person for her to marry and give her a generous dowry. Kindness and prestige are both revealed. Only that way will it convince the masses. Okay. In front of everyone's faces, this person believes the princess's personality. Housekeeper Zhou slowly got up and his trembling hand pointed towards Xiao Yuanqing. These things, it's the Lord who wanted me to secretly store them, taking them out from the prefecture's storage room and replacing it with fake items. For a portion of them, he wanted me to go to the pawn shop and exchange them for gold coins, and another portion of it, he wanted me to gift them to the imperial capital's officials, babbling nonsense. Xiao Yuanqing hollered. Audacious servant. You dare to accuse me. See if I don't kill you today. Xiao Yuanqing raised the palm of his hand and condensed the vitality. It was about to hit the housekeeper Zhou when Huang Beiyu pulled off a hairpin from her hair and the hairpin struck him. The strength wasn't that hard but enough for Xiao Yuanqing to immediately place his hand back. What is father doing? Whether he is accusing you or not, we will find out after investigating later. How come you want to kill him? Other people will think that it's because you are guilty, so you want to kill him so he doesn't say anything else. Huang Beiyu icily declared. Xiao Yuanqing's face was turning red. He held onto his wrist which was in pain, harshly stating, this audacious servant dared to climb on the master's head. Concubine Qin also stood up to add on, Princess Beiyu, a servant's words, how could you believe it? Are you actually going to be suspicious of your father due to this? Whether suspicious or not, I am only looking at the evidence. Concubine Qin doesn't need to say anything more. I also believe that the Grand Emperor's son-in-law would not dare to such a corrupted thing. The master of the prefecture, 13, Xiao Yuanqing's face turned slightly unnatural. He softly coughed, this servant who casually spoke his mind, it's better to beat him to death. Otherwise, he might ruin our prefecture's reputation. Lord! This person had been loyal to you for so many years and done so many things for you. It's fine that something is wrong and you're not helping, but you dare to think about killing me to keep the secret. Housekeeper lifted his head angrily. If you keep on talking nonsense, do you believe that I will kill you? Housekeeper Zhou, Lord doesn't need to threaten me. Today, the matter had revealed itself and the Lord dared to pretend as though you didn't know this, then I don't need to hide and keep it from everyone. All the precious treasures in the prefecture's storage room, if I didn't have the Lord's keys, then how am I able to take them out? The overbearing sentences made by housekeeper Zhou made Xiao Yuanqing flustered and exasperated. His eye sockets were on the verge of splitting. You are framing me. Humph. Framing. Lord is the emperor's son-in-law and I am just a small housekeeper. Why would I find the need to frame you? The keys to the prefecture's storage room, you have been the one keeping them. Only you are able to open the storage room. Without you, how could these treasures be transferred out? Xiao Yuanqing was speechless. Huang Beiyu straightened her back and suddenly coldly announced, enough, all shut up. Housekeeper Zhou closed his mouth. Xiao Yuanqing also guiltily closed his mouth. He thought about it before exclaiming, "Bei Yu, this father, enough, you don't need to explain. This matter, I will investigate thoroughly. Father, give me the keys to the storage room. I will open to see just how many items are missing." "This key isn't on me." Huang Beiyu suddenly turned her body around. In the clean pupils of the eyes, there was indeed a chilly ray of light. "Father, in front of everyone's faces, I am the daughter, so I can't lose faces for you. But this matter involves the prefecture of Princess Zhang, and I am the first daughter of the First Lady. Mother isn't here, so I am the one in charge of the prefecture. As the master of the prefecture, that storage room originally should be managed by me. Starting from today, the father doesn't need to worry about it." Every sentence was icy and cold, revealing anger that led people to feel chilly. The master of the prefecture. These 4 words were like thunder, striking on Xiao Yuanchang's head. He was infuriated and felt shameful. He was a 7-feet man, but he has no privilege within the prefecture to manage anything. On the other hand, a 12-year-old girl dared to make sarcastic comments and gesticulate at him while talking. If he gave the key to the prefecture's storage room, then that is saying that he was giving away the power of about half the prefecture. How could he be willing to do so? "You're young. What do you need that key for? If you end up meeting someone that is dangerous and is lied to by a couple of words, then doesn't that mean absurd?" Huang Beiyu angrily shouted. Her hands pointed at the boxes outside. "Look at what those are. Human testimony and material evidence are both here. I just need to bring Ting Wei Si over to carefully check this. What things can't be investigated? You dared to cover this. I am young, but my eyes are not blind. Father, you are so disappointing. The family matters. Do we really need to startle Ting Wei Si?" As soon as Xiao Yuanqing heard that she was going to ask for Ting Wei Si to investigate this, he started to be worried. The laws of Nanyi country are strict and the punishments are even harsher. All the past emperors of Nanyi country all loathe frauds and greediness. No matter whether it was bureaucracy or affairs of the nation or family/prefecture matters, as long as they were caught and brought to Ting Wei Si, then they would be punished severely. He was the emperor's son-in-law and he was corrupting the financial affairs of the prefecture of Princess Zhang. The punishment is worse. If the father is willing to admit the error and feel regretful about it, looking towards the relationship as father and daughter, how could I go and startle Ting Wei Si to come and catch the father? But today, Lord. Concubine Qin frightfully hollered from the back. She was trembling. If this matter were to startle Ting Wei Si, then none of them could escape awe. The master of the prefecture, 14, Xiao Yuanqing, is also aware of the weight of the matter. The Huang Beiyu right now is different from the trash in the past. If it was that trash from the past, he could have locked her up in the floating cloud pavilion and never let her out. But today, in Lingyang College, he had personally witnessed her deal with Lin Wanyi and Lin Ziqing. Furthermore, she had killed a servant at home. Even Xiao Qiyuan had personally come to express his goodwill, so who would dare to touch her now? This girl can't be offended right now. Just by making her slightly unhappy, she had actually invited people from the Commander of Justice to come here. With such a big matter, it would definitely alarm the emperor. The emperor had already suspected that Xiao Yuanchen has been cruel to Huang Beiyu. If the emperor catches his weakness, then his career as an official would be ruined. After thinking it over and over again, Xiao Yuanqing decided to abandon the car to protect his honor. After all, the path of an official was more important. He had also hidden quite a sum of wealth over the years. It shouldn't be a problem for him if he leaves his relationships behind. Honestly speaking, Princess Zhang's residence's treasury is basically an empty shell now. The treasures inside the treasury are mostly fakes. What's the use of a guard to guard those worthless things? After thinking about it, Xiao Yuanqing sighed. He slowly took out the key from his chest, handing it to Huang Beiyu. Huang Beiyu received it and slowly said, Dongling, thoroughly interrogate Steward Zhou to report all the treasures that were smuggled out previously. Also, make sure to report all the correct tax revenue that Princess Zhang's residence had collected over the years. Xiao Yuanqing said in dissatisfaction, Beiyu, are you really not trusting your father? Father, you have a lot of matters to handle, so you had overlooked a few things. How could I trust you? How could things have gotten to this point? Huang Beiyu said coldly. Xiao Yuanqing's expression was unhappy. This girl has really rebelled. She actually dared to teach him a lesson. However, the matter had already been cleared up. After the interrogation, Steward Zhou would reveal all the items he had kept hidden for so many years. Paper can't cover fire, nothing could be concealed. Humph. The reason I'm using the property in this house is for this family. Do you think it's easy for me, all these years? Your mother has been dead for many years and I don't have a high position in the military. If I didn't use this money to manage this residence, do you think that Princess Zhang's residence can remain peaceful until now? Father is confused. Huang Beiyu tried her best to suppress her voice to prevent her anger from erupting. If you want to manage the residence, you can give it out openly. For the sake of Princess Zhang's residence, would I say no? But now, it's like you've been caught like a thief. If this gets out, how many people will laugh at us? Xiao Zhang's face and ear turned red as he said, since this matter has already passed, let it pass. No one is allowed to bring it up again, much less spread it out. Huang Beiyu snorted coldly and instructed Dongling, take Steward Zhou to the Flowing Cloud Pavilion and interrogate him. After finishing her sentence, she turned to look at concubine Shui. I remember that for many years, it has always been concubine Shui who manages the Princess Zhang's accounts, right? Concubine Shui's face stiffened. How come she's asking for the account books for the land deeds so quickly? She's so quick to cut through the mess and muddy waters, not wasting time at all. This decisive and fierce character, why did it not resemble Princess Zhang's gentle character at all? Yes, I'm in charge of all of it. Concubine Shui said hoarsely. She was in charge of Miang region's accounts and concubine Qin was in charge of the Qinghe region's accounts. Everyone in the household knew about this matter. Hence, even if she wants to put the blame on someone else, she can't. I'm sure that concubine Shui has managed Miang region's account very well. Let Xie Chun go get it so I can have a look. The master of the prefecture, 15, concubine Shui, on the other hand, wasn't worried or frightened. She ordered for Xia Chun to bring the account books over. She always has been a detailed person, knowing to leave a road behind her. She was different from concubine Qin, that type of idiot mind. The matter of the account books, she never had someone else done it. She always did it herself. Therefore, she wasn't worried that it might implicate her in when they were interrogating housekeeper Zhou. Xiao Chun brought the account books over to Huang Beiyu. She flipped one open, glancing at it and not looking anymore. She knew the type of person concubine Shui was. She wouldn't easily let her be able to use the information against her. Therefore, she didn't spend time arguing based on this matter. She took the account books and let Dong Ling bring housekeeper Zhou and Pei Yu before going to Lu Yungu. Housekeeper Zhou was carried into Lu Yungu by servants and Huang Beiyu had ordered for them to interrogate him properly. If he confessed everything truthfully, then she might let him go and let him bring Pei Yu home to enjoy the rest of their lives. At this time, housekeeper Zhou was completely disappointed with Xiao Yuanqing. Therefore, he had confessed everything. He told them about how he helped concubine China and Xiao Yuanqing make fake account books, how he used fake items to transfer the precious treasures within the prefecture's storage room out, as well as where taxation that concubine Qin had gotten from the region Qing he was used towards, etc. When Dongling had finished interrogating him, she had locked housekeepers Zhou and Pei Yu into one side room. Then she went inside to report this to Huang Beiyu. When Huang Beiyu was finished listening to this, she faintly smiled. This housekeeper Zhou knows what's best for him and is smart. This concubine Qin had found him and made a wise decision in doing so. However, it's because housekeeper Zhou was too smart that this time, concubine Qin might not be able to sleep. How can she be able to sleep tonight? Look at her expression today. When housekeeper Zhou is really caught, she probably wouldn't even dare to close her eyes. Dongling also grinned. Huang Beiyu pondered over it before exclaiming, "Isn't Xiao Yuanqing afraid that his scandals would be spread to people? You go look for a servant and let him make this matter publicly known. The best if the whole city ends up knowing about this." "Yes, young miss." Dongling happily left. The room was quiet now and Huang Beiyu picked up 100 Ways of Refinement scroll up again. She flipped through the scroll. She wanted to wait until the day is dark and then go out to find family Bu Ji heirs Luo Luo. Concubine Qin's Chiu Rong Yuan at this time, within the room, came crashes and bangs as well as concubine Qin swearing. "That slutty girl. How come she dared to show off herself? Mother, just be quiet. Later on, if someone hears it and it goes to her ears, it's another thing she can use against." Xiao Rou and Xiao Zhongqi sat next to each other, watching as their mother smashed things. Who dared to go and notify her? As concubine Qin exclaimed this, she seemed to remember something. She raised her head to inquire, "Where's Pei Xiang?" All the maids in the room all shook their heads, petrified. Concubine Qin glared and shouted, "Go tie Pei Xiang, that wench in." A couple of maids hurriedly went out and coincidentally, they saw Pei Xiang at the door. They rushed to say, "Sister Pei Xiang, the lady is looking for you." "Oh. What is the matter for which the lady is looking for me for all?" Pei Xiang was not startled or scared. She faintly smiled, walking in. "Why is the lady having such a huge attitude for? If you hurt your body from being angry, then that isn't good." Concubine Qin was angry, "You're a slut. When did you and Huang Beiyu, that slutty girl, collude with each other?" Today at the Lotus Pond, Pei Xiang's attitude towards Huang Beiyu made her suspicious of her already. It's just that a lot of things happened after that, so she didn't have time to look into it. Now, she finally understood. As it turned out, by her side, there happened to be a spy by her side without her knowing. "I am advising for concubine Qin to keep your mouth clean. The third young miss isn't like the third young miss in the past. If she had heard this, you will suffer from this." The master of the prefecture, 16, slut. What kind of attitude is that? Xiao Rou slammed the table and stood up. This Pei Xiang used to be a very capable maid that followed by her mother's side. How could she? "Fourth miss, I won't hide it from you. Right now, I am third miss's servant. Even if you want to hit a dog, you have to look at the owner. You should try to stay sensible," she smiled triumphantly. Concubine Qin's sinister gaze swept over and she said angrily, "You, a lowly servant, dared to betray me and joined Huang Beiyu's side. That's great. You really have grown up. All these years, I've raised an ingrate." Concubine, what betrayal? In Princess Shang's residence, there is only a proper master, Princess Beiyu. As servants, we are completely loyal to our master, so how is it betrayal? She's the real master. Why didn't you treat her as the real master before? Haven't you done enough bad things to her before? Aren't you afraid that she will seek revenge after she finished using you? Concubine Qin said as she smiled sinisterly. Pei Xiang felt goosebumps all over her body, but she still said firmly, Concubine, don't worry. Third Mrs. character is different from yours. Yes, Pei Xiang thought for a moment and said, Concubine, based on the many years of the relationship between us as master and servant, I advise you to give the third Miss the Qinghe region's account. You should also report the amount you have secretly taken. Otherwise, you will regret it in the future. Concubine Qin's face was pale. Her vision was filled with darkness and her body swayed a few times. She almost fell face first onto the ground. Luckily, Xiao Zhongqi had reacted quickly and was able to support her. Mother, there's nothing to say to this slut who turned on her master. Let's see if she can still act so arrogantly after I kill her. In a fit of anger, Xiao Rou pulled out the sword hanging on the wall. Rower, Concubine Qin said as raised her hand to stop her. She looked hesitant, and after some thought, she said, let her go. Just like what Pei Xiang had said, she was now Huang Beiyu's person. Even if they were to beat a dog, they would have to look at their master first. They couldn't afford to offend a deity like Huang Beiyu right now. Concubine Qin is sensible. Pei Xiang smiled and said, the matters regarding first young master, concubine will have to rely on Princess Beiyu. So you shouldn't keep the tax affairs of Qinghe region a secret. Otherwise, Concubine Qin bit her lower lip. Xiao Zhongqi said, she doesn't need to care about my matters. Pei Xiang was very afraid of this fierce young master, so she didn't dare say much. She only needed to look at Concubine to know that she had already frightened her. Having achieved her goal, Pei Xiang didn't linger any longer. With a smile, she left. Once she left, Concubine Qin's legs became soft. She sat down on a chair, looking frightened. Mom, don't worry too much. I'll go check on third sister and see what she means, Xiao Rou said. Yes, Rower, go and find out what she wants to do to us. Concubine Qin seemed to grasp at hope and suddenly she seems to have strength again. Xiao Rou nodded her head before leaving. Concubine Qin held on to Xiao Zhongqi's hand and muttered, that Huang Beiyu, why did she suddenly, Mom, if she really dares to do anything to us, we'll just fight her to death. She can forget about living well, Xiao Zhongqi said fiercely. Concubine Qin's eyes immediately began to be filled with tears. She cried, I just can't accept it. After all these years of painstaking effort, will it all come to waste? Xiao Zhongqi frowned and asked, Mother, about the accounts in Qinghe region, did you really? The master of the prefecture, 17. If we don't make movements on there, how would we have enough money in order to organize everything all these years? How would I be able to buy pills in order for you and Roer to take a tonic and practice austerities? Concubine Qin thought about it. If they want to check, then let them do so. All these years, Mother had secretly stashed some. Even if she checks the account books and find out something is wrong, she won't be able to check out where the money went. Concubine Qin had planned in advance. She was not stupid. In the past, she had secretly stashed money in order for Xiao Yuanqing to not find out. Now, it could be used in regards to Huang Beiyu and let her have no way out. Royal Court Beiyu. Xiao Rou secretly came to the outside of Lu Yungu. She stared at it for a while, scared to go inside. Fourth young miss, when did you have time to come here? Dongling walked out from the yard, smiling while looking at her. When Xiao Rou came, Huang Beiyu had felt this, so she made Dongling come out to have a look. This Xiao Rou was a great weapon. Sister Dongling, I just wanted to come to have a look at the third sister. I was thinking that she probably was angry at father before, Xiao Rou hurriedly explained. Dong Ling shook her head helplessly. Fourth young miss, it's you who has a kind heart and still thinks of my family's young miss. Our young miss's life is bitter. In the past, the Lord doesn't like her, and now, he even hurt young Miss's heart completely, Xiao Rou hurriedly exclaimed. This matter, I also think that father is at fault. There was nothing wrong with using the money of the prefecture, but secretly letting housekeeper Zhou make movements regarding this, that is wrong. It's the fourth young miss who understands her reasoning. Dong Ling smiled. It's cold outside. Fourth young miss, please go inside and have a seat. Our young miss just woke up. When she heard that was able to go inside the room, Xiao Rou was very happy. In her heart right now, she was a little restless. She wanted a couple of Huang Beiyu's words in order to calm down. Dong Ling personally opened the curtains to let her in, and the moment Xiao Rou got in, she raised her head to see Huang Beiyu leaning against a cushion and reading a book on the bed. Third sister. Xiao Rou grinned, declaring in a small voice. Huang Beiyu raised her head and smiled when she saw her. Fourth sister, you're here. Quickly sit down. It's cold outside. Dong Ling, pour some warm tea. Dong Ling walked out, grinning. After Xiao Rou sat down, she looked at her nervously before opening her mouth slowly. Third sister, about today's matter. Today, by the lotus pond, I heard that concubine Qin was insulting the royal family, and if the words were spread out, it'll cause a huge commotion. Therefore, I punished her. Is the fourth sister blaming me? Of course not. Xiao Rou hurriedly shook her head. Whatever the third sister does, it's all out of reason and evidence. My mother indeed does like to cause trouble with her mouth. Third sister doesn't need to blame herself. Which real daughter would say that their mother liked to cause troubles with her mouth? From this, she could see that this Xiao Rou, normally, is already dissatisfied with concubine Qin. Actually, there is nothing wrong with what she was saying. It's just that today, I had interrogated housekeeper Zhou, and what the housekeeper Zhou had said, I couldn't believe. Huang Beiyu placed the book down, a look of worry on her face. Xiao Rou's heart pumped quickly, hurriedly answering, Third sister, this matter, my mother indeed is at fault. But she's old and can't endure the torture within the prison. Third sister, please don't make this matter bigger than it is and send her to Tingwei Sea. Huang Beiyu slightly curled up her lips, smiling, we are all a family. How could I have the heart to make it a big deal towards Tingwei Sea? What happened in our prefecture, it's better to resolve this within the prefecture. Xiao Rou let out a huge sigh. If they went to Tingwei Sea, her mother would go to hell for greed and she would be done forth too. Third sister's heart is kind. It's just that this matter, how does the third sister plan to take care of it? Xiao Rou carefully inquired. The master of the prefecture, 18, Huang Beiyu faintly smiled. How else would I handle this? Isn't it just going to be the same as for housekeeper Zhou? As long as you guys compensate for the money lost, I naturally won't argue anymore. Compensate for the money lost, Xiao Rou's face was slightly ugly. Right then, Dong Ling came in with warm tea and heard their conversation. She said, these couple of years, concubine Qin had been cultivating the elder young master and the fourth young miss and used quite a bit of money. Plus, add on to the Lord's expenses, how would they be able to make up for the money lost? Huang Beiyu nodded her head, that's right also. Big brother and fourth sister are all part of the family. It's a must that money is spent on them. It's just that I heard from housekeeper Zhou that concubine Qin probably had secretly stashed some. Xiao Rou bit her lips. When she heard that she said it's a must that money was spent on them, she was secretly happy about it. This meant that Huang Beiyu still looked at her as the young miss within the prefecture. My mother did secretly store some money. However, she is quite stubborn and probably won't be willing to give it up. Dong Ling lowered her voice. Fourth young miss, my family's young miss's personality, you probably clearly know of it. The loss within the prefecture of Princess Zhang can't just be lost. Before what the concubines had used, it's fine. It's just that the secretly stored, no matter what she can't allow it. This matter, it's fine to resolve this in the prefecture. If it caused a huge commotion, you thought about how the consequences would be like. You and the elder young master are still young. The future is still bright. Third sister, if my mother is willing to give up the secretly stashes, you really won't pester endlessly about it. Huang Beiyu faintly raised her eyes. Fourth sister doesn't believe me. No. I naturally believe you. It's just that a ray of light flashed by in Huang Beiyu's eyes. Fourth sister, you probably know where the concubine Qin had hidden her things, right? If you say it out loud, concubine Qin probably won't let you go, or maybe she might break off her relationship with you. This is all unknown. Xiao Rou's eyes immediately turned red. The tears dripped down her face. It is impossible to satisfy both righteousness and benevolence. Third sister, teach me how to do this. Huang Beiyu laughed coldly in her heart. This matter, she didn't need to teach her. As long as she slightly gave Xiao Rou a backup and some benefits, Xiao Rou will definitely sell her mother off, this type of matter. Fourth sister, a couple days from now, Empress Dowager and Princess Shi are going back to the imperial capital. When the time comes, I will deliver a notice to the palace, begging to see the Empress Dowager and Princess Shi. I will bring you along to the palace. Xiao Rou wiped her tears off. She stared at Huang Beiyu, stunned. What are they going to the palace together for? Dongling hurriedly added on, Fourth young miss, how did you forget? In the past, when Princess Shi and the Empress Dowager left the palace together in order to pray for blessings for Nanny country, she had made a remark saying that she will not marry the whole life. She will serve upon the spirits in order to exchange for peace within Nanny country. Since then, Princess Shi had the intentions of choosing a talented woman who knew everything from each prefecture, accepting them as her adopted daughters. The first daughter's status is precious, so Princess Shi just wants to choose from daughters of concubines. Xiao Rou heard this and was frozen for half a moment before she suddenly stood up. She kneeled in front of Huang Beiyu. Third sister, you are giving me this chance. This benevolence, how can I repay you back? I am just giving you this type of chance. Whether it works or not, is up to you. You are a smart one, so you naturally should understand that by being the foster daughter of Princess Shi, concubine Qin's reputation from before can't affect you anymore. Xiao Rou tightly held her hands. Because of excitement, her face was slightly red. She stated determinedly, I understand. My mother had made a mistake, so she originally should repaying back. Even though I am her daughter, I can't watch her make mistake after mistake. This maid had said this before. That fourth young miss is the person who knows logic and reasoning best. Dong Ling helped her up. Master above, 1, Huang Beiyu's body leaned against the soft cushion. Fourth sister, this matter, you had suffered from it. For our prefecture, what does this suffering count as? Xiao Rou bent her knee, saying, Third sister, go rest. This sister will leave now. Huang Beiyu nodded her head, watching as Dong Ling brought her out. After a while, Dong Ling came back smiling. Actually, the fourth young miss's personality was completely inherited from the Lord. In the entire prefecture, the fourth young miss and the Lord are the closest. Huang Beiyu coldly laughed, all cold and ruthless people. The people in family Xiao are all the same. From Xiao Qiyuan to Xiao Yuanqing, then to Xiao Rou, they are all selfish and without affection. However, when is she not that type of person as well? Huang Bei stood up from the bed and walked over to the window, looking. The sky is dark. Is the young miss going out? Dong Ling was already clear with her schedule. When it is night, she usually would secretly go out. From the drawer, she took out a cloak for her to cover herself. Huang Bei turned around to exclaim, "Look after the housekeeper's Zhou properly. If Xian Yuancheng and concubine Qin want to destroy the evidence, they probably would make a move to housekeeper Zhou." Yes, young miss, don't worry. Towards Dong Ling, she was absolutely comforted. Huang Bei snuck out from the window. Moving slickly through the night, the ghost-like silhouette flashed by the dark alleys heading towards the castle of Buji Air outside the city. Royal Court Beiyu. Under the moonlight, the young man's silhouette of waving the sword seemed to be weak. The sword in his hand moved back and forth a couple of times, attacking the wooden person but never able to exert the full potential. The face gradually revealed a given-up look. "Young master, as long as you use more strength on your hand then it will be fine." The coach who was standing to the side cheered for him. "I already have been using more strength." The young man pursed his lips, stating. That coach immediately didn't dare to say another word. The sword in the young man's hand aimed towards the wooden person, but in his mind, it recalled back to the competition in Lingyang College today. Princess Bei Yu used the vitality to stretch the horse whip straight and used it to pierce Lin Zicheng's chest. How did she bring out the power to do so? How come the move looked so simple but when he learned it, it was that difficult? How come he is unable to grasp the main points? The sword in his hand doesn't seem to listen to him. Luo threw the sword to one side, irritated. But at this time, suddenly a black ghost-like shadow appeared behind him. It held the hand which he held the sword and brought the sword back, piercing forward. The feeling in his heart was completely different. This sword and the sword in which he slashed out, the move was the same but he felt different. Within this sword, he felt like if Lin Zicheng stood in front of him, he would be able to slash him without any strength. Look at the sword in your hand clearly. This is a sword to murder someone. Came a deep but icy cold voice. Luo's body slightly trembled and his ears slowly turned red. A ball of fire had reached his face. Don't be distracted. Look again. The icy voice, but as though the unfrozen lake in spring, cold but elegant and pleasant. Luo's hand was held by a pair of even smaller and delicate hands. Once again, they brought the sword out and the normal sword moves actually pierced through the wooden person's heart. Amazing! Luo was shocked. The hand loosened and the person behind moved back. In his heart, he was disappointed and hurriedly turned around. Suddenly, a ray of coldness flashed by and the sword was in front of him. Master above, too, wow! Luo called out loudly. He hurriedly picked up his sword to block, harshly beaten back a couple of steps. That coach was shocked by the sudden black silhouette. After being stunned for a moment, the young master he was supposed to protect had begun to fight with someone else. "Who are you?" The coach yelled, immediately rushing over after drawing the sword out. "Don't come over, it's my friend." Luo yelled while using his sword to block against them. That coach was surprised. The young master's friend. This body of the black cloak was so mysterious. Could it be the rumored Shi Tiandarin? Under the cloak, Huang Beiyu's clear and cold voice was mixed with a slight smile. "Have some turns against me, using the moves that I just taught you." "Okay." Luo nodded his head and recalled back to the moves from before. In his heart, confidence immediately burst. "Look clearly at the sword in your hand. This is a sword used to murder people." "Right." This is a sword used to murder people, not used to play around. Luo deeply yelled, and the moves with his sword were much quicker than before. The strength in his hand was stronger by a couple times more. Good. Quicker, don't mess up. Stay calm. On one hand, Huang Beiyu exchanged blows with him, and on the other hand, she instructed him calmly. Her sword was instructing Luo's sword. Sometimes quick, sometimes slow. Sometimes right and sometimes left. The sound of the weapons clashing against each other formed momentarily fireworks. Luo, from the start, was a little hurried, then slowly he was able to keep up with the moves under her instructions. One move, one form, was as quick and agile like hers. There were no beautiful moves, just simple but crafty moves. This sword was a sword to murder someone. The coach stood to the side and was flabbergasted with what he was seeing. His eyes were almost unable to keep up with the black cloak silhouette. It's just that sometimes he could see a strand of red hair revealing itself from the bottom of the cloak as though flame burning under the moonlight. Powerful. Indeed, very powerful. Such a simple move, but from it could be seen how profound Shi Tiandaren's cultivation was. She didn't need to use any beautiful moves, and every time the sword went down, it was definitely able to take someone's life. The coach who was viewing this battle felt his blood boiling up. Don't mention Luo was in the battle. His hand, almost every time it bumped against Huang Beiyu's sword, was shaken to the point it was feeling numb. But this feeling of numbness led him to become even more excited. The type of excitement he had never felt before in his whole life. Battle. This was the real battle. In the past, when the coaches fought with him, it was basically like little kids playing games. There were no frantic grapples. There was no determination of victory or loss. One competition, no matter how many tricks there are, it was only a child's play. Luo fought with all he had, and even the sweat on his forehead appeared. He forcibly went against Huang Beiyu a couple 10 times before the sword in his hand was flicked in the air. Huang Beiyu placed the weapon back on the weapon shelf and then turned around, jumping on the roof. The black cloak blew around. She waved her hand at Luo, "Come on." Luo answered. He obviously wouldn't be able to jump on there so confident and at ease. He could only choose to climb up from the ladder by the side. He slowly walked over to Huang Beiyu's side. The evening wind blew against them. Luo's wet hair was softly blown by the wind. He turned around to glance at the side silhouette of the mysterious master. In his eyes, it was filled with worship. Shi Tiandaren, as it turned out, beside a summoner, you are also a master in martial arts. Master? No, I'm just respecting the sword in my hand. Huang Beiyu faintly responded. Master above, 3, respect the sword in your hand. Luo was a little immersed in the words. Towards this mysterious master, he looked towards her in admiration. Shi Tiandaren, you, Luo was hesitant. He opened his mouth and his face was a little red, not continuing to say anything more. Huang Beiyu turned her head around. Under the black cloak's gaze, it included a slight smile. What do you want to say? No, Luo sat down on the roof, a little disappointed. He bit his red lips. During today's competition within the Lingyang College, I lost. Losing and winning is a normal thing within life. You just need to look upon it indifferently. Luo admired her open-mindedness. But only masters could say that to a master. If he was like that and was open-minded, then that would be considered as immature. Did Shi Tiandaren hear of Princess Beiyu from the prefecture of Princess Shang? Luo raised her head to look at her. Huang Beiyu's heart thumped. She knew that it wasn't that Luo Luo had recognized it was her, but when she heard someone else mention her other status, it couldn't be helped that she acted a little unnatural. Heard of? Huang Beiyu remembered her intention of coming today. She continued to say, Princess Zhang is my benefactor. I came to Nanny country in order to repay a kindness. This was the first time Luo Luo had heard Shi Tiandaran talk about her worry. All of a sudden, he felt their distance was much closer now. The haze in his heart suddenly was diluted by this happiness. She was talking about something so personal to her to him, so does that mean she trusts him? Her cold personality, she probably won't tell anyone else about this. Luo Luo was naively happy and forgot that he had lost the competition today. He inquired, then how do you want to repay the kindness? Princess Zhang had passed away for so many years. You probably can only repay the kindness on Princess Beiyu's body. Huang Beiyu nodded her head. In her heart, she was relaxed. Interacting with Luo Luo, this type of person who doesn't think of plotting schemes and is innocent, was the most relaxing. She didn't need to go around the curves and he will naturally say it. I heard that within the prefecture of Princess Zhang, it isn't peaceful. I think I can probably help her to make it peaceful. Luo Luo's pretty face suddenly turned serious, as though he had anger towards a common enemy like her. The people in family Shao, I don't like. Princess Beiyu is often bullied by them. If I had enough power, I will teach them a lesson. The corner of Huang Beiyu's lips slightly curled up. In terms of bullying people, I can help. It's a pity that bullying people can't resolve any issues. Right, we're letting them off too easily by only bullying them. Luo Luo nodded his head, then suddenly thought of something. He used his hands and feet to climb up. He slightly moved his face a little closer over. Do you know that the people in the prefecture of Princess Zhang would all secretly transfer their properties out and exchange it for coins, saving them up? Huang Beiyu was slightly shocked. Who knew that Luo Luo would voluntarily say this to her? She softly coughed, asking, how do you know this? I had seen this happen a couple of times. When the concubines of family Shao come to our Buji heir's money farm, the shop assistants all say that they are huge customers. At that time, I didn't understand. If they were our money farm's huge customers, then the coins saved in the money farm, at least, needed to be over 1 billion. How would the concubines in the prefecture have that much money? Luo Luo spoke the truth. Towards Shi Tian, he didn't hide anything from her. In his heart, he didn't think it was necessary to do so. Although this was the secret within the money farm, he took Shi Tian to be his friend. There was no reason not to help her. Plus, if he had said this, he could also help Princess Beiyu, so he was happy to say so. Master above, for, in fact, in Luo Luo's heart, there was no concept such as trade secret. His mind was simple. There is only the relationship between friends. There would be no scheming for benefits. Huang Beiyu is also very touched by his sincere friendship. She had been a killer in the 21st century and had assassinated all kinds of people. Those people include many business people. She knew the importance of business secrets. So if Luo Luo wasn't treating her as a real friend, he wouldn't be telling her this. I've seen all the people in Princess Zhang's residence. Although they seem arrogant and despotic, I didn't expect them to be so bold. Even in the capital city, under the emperor's feet, they still dared to be so bold and greedy. Oh. This greed is a heavy crime. Why don't I go find the people from the commander of justice place tomorrow and arrest all of them? Then they can interrogate them strictly, Luo Luo said. Huang Beiyu shook her head lightly and said, we don't need to alarm the commander of justice's residence. Otherwise, we will inadvertently alert our enemy. Whatever Sir Shi Tian says to do, I will do them all, said Luo Luo. He blinked his eyes with an excited look on his face. This brat is straightforward and honest, she likes his personality. Of course, she wouldn't do anything that would make things difficult for Luo Luo. As long as there is any concrete evidence, she would be able to play concubine Qin and concubine Xue to death. She secretly instructed Luo Luo a few things. Her mood was very good. Sure enough, having a large family as a backer could save her a lot of trouble. Young Master Luo Luo, come down quickly. The old master is here. The coach suddenly ran in and shouted in a low voice towards the roof. Luo Luo frowned. His bright smile suddenly collapsed. Huang Bei, you probably could guess why he suddenly became so dejected. Today, he had lost the competition at Lingyang College. It must have been a huge blow to him. After all, even Huang Beiyu, who had always been known as rubbish, had won. As a man, Luo Luo probably can't help but feel disappointed. Glancing at Luo Luo's expression, Huang Beiyu patted his shoulder and said, "Don't look so bitter. Today, when you sparred with me, wasn't your skills amazing?" "How am I amazing?" "I know you deliberately let me do that." Luo Luo peeked at the wisp of red hair under her cloak. He was a bit shy, but he was secretly happy to be praised by her. "I've said it before, I respect my sword. Since the sword is in my hand, I will not take it as a joke." Luo Luo's heart beats wildly. Just as he was about to say something, the voice of the clan head, Sai Si, came from beneath the roof. "So, it's Shi Tian who is here. My apologies. Luo Luo, how can you treat the guest like this? Why did you bring the guest to the roof? How rude." Luo Luo had a wrong look on his face, but Huang Beiyu said, "Clan leader, don't blame young Master Luo Luo. I came up here myself. From the roof of your residence, one can see the entire Lin Hui city. The Buji heir family's mansion is located in an extremely high location. It was able to overlook the entire imperial capital. The scenery was truly quite beautiful." She pulled Luo Luo up and floated down from the roof like a cloud. With such skills, even the experienced and knowledgeable clan head Sai Si was secretly amazed. This Shi Tian is truly not ordinary. "Luo Luo, you go in first. Father will speak a few words with Shi Tian." Sai Si sent Luo Luo away. Although Luo Luo was unwilling, he couldn't go against his father's words, so he left. "Clan head Sai Si, if you have something to say, just say it," Huang Beiyu said as she walked to the side of the weapon rack. Master above, 5, clan head Sai Si didn't beat around the bush. He directly asked, "Sir Shi Tian has interacted with Luo Luo a few times. What do you think of his talent?" Huang Beiyu was stunned. What does Sai Si mean? He knew his own son the best, didn't he? Why did he ask her? Young Master Luo Luo is intelligent and he diligently studies. In terms of talent, Luo Luo is indeed lacking a bit, Huang Beiyu said. However, looking at how he was sparring with me just now, I found out that he is very smart, agile, and not dull. Seeing one move, he would predict the next. Ordinary people would not be able to compare to him. Sai Si stroked his short beard and laughed loudly. "You are too courteous, Shi Tian. If you think I'm saying this because I'm being polite, then you're insulting Luo Luo," Huang Beiyu said coldly. No, no. Sai Si hurriedly shook his head, his expression was somewhat gratified. "I am just very happy that in your eyes, your esteemed self is still able to give such a high evaluation to Luo Luo." Huang Beiyu looked at him coldly but didn't say a word. Sai Si didn't continue with the previous topic. He said, "I wonder which family does an expert as your esteemed self has come from." "I'm alone." Huang Beiyu looked at Sai Si and gradually understood what clan head Sai Si was up to. He wants to win her over. The Bujier family is one of the most powerful families on the Cardi continent. There are many experts within the Bujier family. Many experts of the continent would choose to rely on the Bujier family. This was because, due to Bujier family's strong backing, they would have nothing to worry about. Sai Si stroked his beard as he pondered. You are very powerful, but have you ever thought that in the continent, one person is always lacking in power? With a hand gently supporting her chin, she turned her head and said indifferently, Clan head's intention, I understand. Sai Si laughed. He didn't feel embarrassed at all. Wise people don't speak in a roundabout way, Shi Tian is straightforward. Clan head Sai Si is also a straightforward person. Just say it. Sai Si crossed his arms behind his back and took a few steps forward, letting out a heavy sigh. He said, I have always hoped to train Luo Luo to be my successor, but his interest never rested on the family's business. He only wants to become someone powerful. Without a choice, I've also recruited many experts to teach him, but his talent is limited. After saying that, Sai Si turned around, a glint of light flashing through his deep and astute eyes. I heard from the coach about your teachings to Luo Luo. If you could take him in as a disciple, is this the condition clan head Sai Si is proposing? No, definitely not. Sai Si said firmly, it's just one of my wishes. It is a great honor for you to join our family. Why would I offer you any conditions? Huang Beiyu pursed his lips. No one could see her face under the cloak. However, the cold and clear aura that she gives off still made clan head Sai Si feel uneasy. After quietly waiting for a while, Huang Beiyu slowly spoke out, I won't join the Bujier family. Clan head Sai Si didn't hide the disappointment on his face. However, he was someone who had gone through great wind and waves, so he just bitterly smiled. He regretfully said, I respect your wishes. However, I would like to have a mutually beneficial relationship with the Bujier family. Huang Beiyu's voice was light, but it was hard for anyone to resist. Master above, 6. However, I really wish that the family of Bujier is the relationship of mutually cooperating and benefiting each other. Huang Beiyu's voice was faint, but it led people to have the feeling of unable to reject her. Of course, the matter with Luo Luo is not collaborating. Sai Si listened to this. The sentence before talked about cooperating, and he thought that there was no problem with this. After all, a master joining the family of Bujier, wasn't that also the relationship of mutually cooperating with each other? They need a master's prestige and power to stabilize their family's power. On the other hand, the masters would want to use the family Bujier's strong influence in order for them to stand on the mainland steadily. It's just that when they join the family, in the future when they do something outside, they need to take the matters of the family as a priority. They would be restrained by a little bit. If it was just the relationship of cooperation, Shitian is Shitian while family Bujier is family Bujier. They will not interfere with each other. When needed, they will help each other. This type of relationship was quite well. In his heart, Sai Si was preparing to agree, but he heard Huang Beiyu's sentence after. He was stunned before revealing a delightful look. What Shi Tian Darren's meaning is you are willing to accept Luo Luo as your apprentice. It's not that simple to be my apprentice. The sufferings that one would face is more than others by 10 times. Tell me about it. After clan leader Sai Si went back to ask about young master Luo Luo's opinion. Huang Beiyu exclaimed this without expression. Don't need to ask. I am willing to. Obviously, I am willing to. What does suffering count as? I love suffering. Luo Luo suddenly jumped out from the yard, excitedly declaring. The corner of Huang Beiyu's lips curled up. Luo Luo's attitude was the exact same as hers when she formally became an apprentice to her master. What does suffering count as? As long as she was able to become powerful, she loved suffering. Clan leader Sai Si was chuckling. He glared at Luo Luo, a little indulging. The adults are speaking. How can you be outside trying to eavesdrop? This is impolite. Quickly apologize to Shi Tiandaran. Oh no, your master. Luo Luo's huge eyes blinked a couple times. He looked towards Huang Beiyu, full of shock. Master above, this apprentice knows that he is wrong. Clan leader touched his beard, smiling. Today, it's getting late. It's too rushing. Tomorrow, I will prepare for the grand ceremony for formal apprentices to meet their masters so Luo Lu can worship Shi Tiandaran as master. It's fine without a ceremony. Since Luo Luo calls me master, I will instruct him. The ceremony for apprentices meeting their masters was just a process. There was no huge meaning behind it. Plus, this matter might cause a huge racket and won't benefit Luo Luo in any way. They need to know that those who stood high up, the more people who wanted to harshly slam them down. Luo Luo is still young and innocent. This type of harm, he can't endure it. Clan leader Sai Si had also thought of this. He nodded his head, saying to Luo Luo, Luo Luo, kowtow once to your master. Offer a cup of tea. The etiquettes are still required. Yes. Luo Luo kneeled down and kowtowed 3 times. The servant immediately placed the hot tea in his hand. He raised it up with both his hands, delivering it to Huang Beiyu. Master, please drink tea. Huang Beiyu faintly smiled, taking it over. She used the cuff to cover up while she sipped. Get up. You are worshipping me as master, but I have nothing to gift you. The swordplay from before, I will demonstrate at a complete time. You look at it carefully. Many thanks, master. Luo Luo was incomparably excited. The first time that he had worshipped a master, he was able to learn Shi Tiandaran swordplay. How could he not be happy? Clan leader Sai Si looked at the 2 people, gratified. He waved his hand towards the servants on 2 sides and he also left secretly, leaving this place to the pair of apprentice and master. Under the moonlight, the black silhouette moved naturally and flowingly. Although the actions were slow, the light of the sword had formed an invisible net. It was just like a real one in the sky, not scattering even after a long time. Master above, 7, as the black cloak passed by, it was accompanied by the cold light of the treasure sword. There were killing intent everywhere. Practice hard, I'll come back tomorrow. Yes, master. Take care. As soon as Luo Luo finished speaking, a huge white Isolwan spirit bird flew down from the sky. Huang Beiyu jumped onto the bird and a cold wind blew past them. 1 person and 1 bird had already flown far away. Luo Luo looked with adoration. Master is so powerful. He also wants to become an expert. One day, he wants to be able to soar through this sky together with her. The sword danced in his hand as the bright moonlight shined on the treasured sword. A cold ray of light flashed across Luo Luo's black and resolute eyes. The massive body of the Isolwan spirit bird streaked across the sky. In the distance, Princess Zhang's residence could be seen. Under the night sky, balls of fire appeared, and thick smoke billowed out. Looking at it carefully, wasn't that the direction of the flowing cloud pavilion? Her heart tightened as she immediately rode her Isolwan spirit bird and flew toward the flowing cloud pavilion at lightning speed. Dongling was still in the flowing cloud pavilion. Steward Zhou and Pei Yu were also locked inside. The people who set the fire probably thought that she was in there too, so they didn't stop and just set it all on fire. They can destroy evidence and even blame it on the people of the Duke of Anne's residence. Truly poisonous. Fire. Quickly put out the fire. Put out the fire. Get water. Put out the fire. Princess Zhang's residence has already become a mess. The fire had spread rapidly. The maids and servants did not dare to enter and could only splash water on the surroundings, but it was completely useless. The people outside were also alarmed. The people from the residence of Duke An were watching with wide eyes. The surrounding commoners had also run out of their homes to watch. It was a huge mess outside. In the residence, Xiao Yuancheng and the other concubines had also woken up, but none of them dared to approach. They only stood far away from the fire and commanded the servants to go and extinguish the fire. Poor third miss, how did a fire start here? Concubine Qin hypocritically wiped away her tears, perfectly matching her deathly pale face. She really portrayed a sad feeling well. In my opinion, it's a form of retribution. This is simply retribution for the kind of people who are cold and ruthless, have no filial piety, and no respect for their elders. When Xiaoling saw the roaring fire, she couldn't help but want to add more firewood to the fire. Her heart was filled with joy. Yesterday, she had wanted to make peace with Beiyu, but that girl was too arrogant. Now, do you see it? This is called retribution. Linger. Concubine Fong tugged her sleeve. Don't speak nonsense. She's your little sister. What sister? I don't have a sister like that. Xiaoling pushed off Concubine Fong's hand. Concubine Fong is a frail woman, she immediately fell backward to the ground with just one push. When she raised her head, all she could do was look sadly at her daughter. They're both born from the same bloodline, how are they so different? Concubine Fong said in a low voice. She didn't want the sharp-eared Xiao Yuancheng to hear her words. She turned around and a leg kicked her in the shoulder. Master above, 8, what did you say, you slut? Concubine Fong clutched at her shoulder, cold sweat pouring down her face from the pain. Master, Before she could finish his words, the noise around them suddenly became a cry of surprise. Look! Look! What is that? It's heading here. It's coming this way. It's so huge. It's the I Salwan spirit bird. It's Shi Tian's I Salwan spirit bird. Finally, someone cried out in alarm. Then, everyone followed suit. In the sky, which was dyed red because of the fire, a huge snow-white-colored mythical bird approached from the distance. It flapped its huge wings, the fiery fire rushed towards the people in the courtyard. Xiao Yuancheng and the other concubines immediately fled in panic. In their haste, the fallen concubine Fong was stepped on several times. No one came to help her. At the same time, a fierce fire that had rushed towards them, burning all the trees in the courtyard. Concubine Fong crawled up from the ground. The fire burned so fiercely in an instant that she couldn't see where it was going, so she ran wildly. When she felt the fire growing stronger, she discovered that she was running in the direction of Flowing Cloud Pavilion. Cries of surprise came from outside one after another. Concubine Fong was just about to turn around and flee when she suddenly felt a burst of cold wind. In the next moment, the huge Isolwan spirit bird pounced into the blazing Flowing Cloud Pavilion. Concubine Fong looked at the scene in front of her with a shocked expression. The fire had been slightly reduced by the Isolwan spirit bird's arrival, allowing her to clearly see the young girl that had jumped down from the Isolwan spirit bird's back. A section of her black cloak slid down, revealing long fiery red hair as well as. Concubine Fong cried out in alarm. The Isolwan spirit bird suddenly turned its head and glanced at her with its huge eyes. Concubine Fong was so scared that her legs went limp. Just as she was about to turn and run away, the Isolwan spirit bird reached out a claw and grabbed her. Huang Beiyu turned her head to look at her. Upon seeing that it was Aunt Fong, she felt a little more at ease. The third lady, Concubine Fong said stutteringly. When she was caught by the Isolwan spirit bird, the extremely cold air sent chills down her spine despite the fact that they were the middle of the fire. Huang Beiyu had already broken off her connection with the beast without boundaries, so hair had returned to its pitch-black color. Her appearance did not change much. Her delicate facial features were practically the same. It was just that the red-haired Huang Beiyu looked even more imposing and fierce. But the black-haired Huang Beiyu was a little more gentle and elegant. Although the two were different, it was only in terms of temperament. However, one could recognize her appearance with a glance. Thus, after such a long time, Huang Beiyu continued to wear a black cloak when she appears as Shi Tian. Right now, in the middle of the fire, it was hard for her to say anything to Concubine Fong. She was very respectful towards this person, unlike Concubine Qin and Concubine Shui. Concubine Qin and Concubine Shui both had conflicts with her, making her want to cut weeds and eliminate the roots. After instructing the Isolwan spirit bird not to hurt Concubine Fong in her heart, Huang Beiyu quickly walked into the room. The smoke rolled around, but there was no one in the room. Where was Dongling? That's right. Before she had left, she instructed Dongling to keep an eye on Steward Zhou so that no one could find an opportunity to attack him. That girl has a straightforward personality. She must have seen the fire and decided not to run for her life. Instead, she went to find Steward Zhou. With that thought in mind, Huang Beiyu quickly jumped out of the window into the side room. Seeing that the door was not closed, she confirmed her guess. The fire in the side room was even bigger. It was obvious that the person who set the fire wanted to silence Steward Zhou by killing him. Master above, 9, with one leg, she kicked the door that was about to be burned down. As soon as she rushed in, she immediately heard the crying and coughing sounds inside the room. Pei Yu, your father can't be saved anymore. Quickly leave. Cough, Dongling said as she anxiously tried to persuade her. Hearing Dongling's voice, Huang Beiyu's spirit was roused. She took out an ice feather to sweep away the fire surrounding her before walking in. I'm not leaving, let go of me. Let me go. Dad, wake up, cough, let's go Pei Yu, Dongling shouted. However, Pei Yu had already fainted. Huang Beiyu rushed inside and wept the ice feathers over. The violent and raging flames were immediately extinguished. A cold aura surrounded them because of the ice feather. When Dongling felt the coldness, she turned around and became overjoyed. Miss, you finally came. Steward Zhou, Dongling held the unconscious Pei Yu and her tone showed her self-blame. Huang Beiyu looked at Steward Zhou in the corner. He was pressed down by a burning wood pillar that had collapsed. He had already taken his last breath. He was already beaten by wooden planks before this, making him unable to walk. So after the fire started, he couldn't run away, he could only wait for death. Huang Beiyu was depressed. Since Steward Zhou died, then there would be one less witness. Don't know how full of themselves Xiao Yuanqing and Concubine Qin will be. However, there was nothing she could do at the moment. She walked over to Dongling and took Pei Yu's hand. She then said to Dongling, quickly, let's go. Two people, one on Pei Yu's left and one on Pei Yu's right, helped her out. With ice feather in her hand, the surrounding flames didn't dare to approach them. When they walked into the courtyard, Concubine Fong was still in the Isolwan spirit bird's claw, trembling in fear with a stunned expression on her face. Huang Beiyu handed Pei Yu to Concubine Fong and coldly said, Concubine Fong, you've seen my true face. Originally, I want to dispose of you. However, since I was young, you had shown me a lot of love, so I can't be an ungrateful person. As long as you keep my secret, I definitely won't hurt you. Concubine Fong immediately nodded her head. Third Miss, I won't say anything. With how powerful you are now, there's now hope for the residents of Princess Zhang. Huang Bei, you trust Concubine Fong a little. When Princess Zhang was still alive, Concubine Fong was one of the few people who was able to talk to Princess Zhang for a while. Although her personality was cold, she treated Princess Zhang with complete courtesy and respect. On the other hand, she didn't pay much attention to Xiao Yuanqing. Princess Zhang had treated her much more affectionately than other concubines. After Princess Zhang had passed away, Huang Beiyu was often bullied in the residence, and it was also Concubine Fong who had repeatedly protected her. Otherwise, if it was Concubine Shuao or Concubine Qin who had seen her true face, she wouldn't have shown the slightest bit of mercy and end their life. Let's go out first. Huang Beiyu nodded towards the Aisawan spirit bird. The Aisawan spirit bird opened its mouth wide, thick ice shards immediately came out and the flames in front of them completely disappeared. At the same time, the Aisawan spirit bird flapped its huge wings and flew up into the fiery red sky, disappearing in the next moment. The few of them supported each other as they slowly walked out of the flowing cloud pavilion. The people standing outside of the flowing cloud pavilion didn't even dare to make a sound when they saw the people coming out. Some of them that were carrying buckets of water immediately went up to her to receive credit. Third Miss, are you all right? This fire was too strong. No matter how much we tried to extinguish it, we weren't able to. Third Miss, you must have been frightened. Third Miss's luck is great, blessed with great fate. Floods of good fortune filled the heavens, so of course, she's safe and sound. As the sounds of chatter filled the air, the gazes of the crowd grew increasingly respectful as they looked at her. What a joke! The person who went to save them just now was the person who has the most influence and the strongest power, the great master Shi Tian. Princess Bei, you must have some relationship with Shi Tian, to have him rescue her. Master above, 10, although these people didn't say anything, in their hearts they understood. This Princess Beiyu was someone they shouldn't provoke awe. Huang Beiyu's face was gloomy and she raised her hand. Those maids and servants didn't dare to say anything, all moving to one side. Bring Peiyu off and find a doctor to check her out. Huang Beiyu's gaze moved to the front, looking at Xiao Yuanqing and Concubine Qin, those in the far distance and afraid to come closer. The ice-coldness inside her clear eyes felt pressuring. It was still fine for Xiao Yuanqing, but Concubine Qin directly moved a couple steps back from that gaze, the heart thumping rapidly. Huang Beiyu slowly walked up and the gloomy eyes were too terrifying, so no one dared to say anything first. Compared to Dongling and Peiyu, her body was considered fine. There was not a dirty place on her face. It was clean but filled with a severe imposing manner. Cough, Xiao Yuanqing coughed, the voice was dry as though it had been burnt by the fire from before. Beiyu, it's good that you're fine. Father has been worrying for you. Huang Beiyu coldly lifted her head, icily staring at him. Worrying for me? If father was worrying for me, how come you didn't come in to save me? Fire was too big. Father wanted to go in but I couldn't. Xiao Yuanqing drily laughed, pulling at his face. That look was really disgusting to the full extent. Huang Beiyu sneered, father can't come in but the second sister is an ice-attributed summoner and she can casually just come in to save me. How come father didn't let the second sister come save me? The normal type of fire, ice-attributed summoners, won't even place them in their eyes. Xiao Yun is already a 3-star summoner. The ice attributed heavenly snow cat, sneezing is like pouring snow. Going into the sea of fire to save someone is like going into play. Xiao Yuanqing knew this point as well. Right then, he felt as though he was losing faces. The situation was dangerous. Father didn't think of this point before. When I thought of this point, Shi Tiandaran already appeared. Since her appearance, your second sister is not needed. As it turned out to be this. Looks like your daughter's life, in father's heart, whether it should be saved or not, is still to be hesitant. Huang Beiyu coldly humphed. The arctic gaze in her eyes seemed to be able to kill someone. Xiao Yuanqing couldn't open his mouth for a moment due to the pressuring imposing manner. Only that Xiao Yun replied, "Third sister, this fire suddenly started to burn. Who would know this awe? How can you blame the father for this?" "I didn't blame the father for this. I just blame the person who set the fire up for having such a vicious thought." Huang Beiyu's eyes turned cold and the corner of her lips curled up. That arc was icy and harsh. "Those who dared to harm me, don't let me catch them. Otherwise, I will demand the same thing back 100 times more." The word said led everyone's hearts to chill. Their hair on the body stood up. Concubine Shui smiled. "Third young miss, don't harm your body from being angry. This fire might be an accident." "I also hope it's an accident." Huang Beiyu faintly smiled. "This matter, I will give to Ting Wei Si for them to handle with. Lu Yungu, from now on, no one can walk in a step at all in order to avoid destroying the evidence." Xiao Yuancheng's face turned. "How come you need to bring Ting Wei Si up? If the matter is brought to the attention of many, it won't serve us good." Huang Beiyu coldly exclaimed, "Father, housekeeper Zhou already died in the fire. A person is dead in the manor. How can we not report to the Ting Wei Si? Housekeeper Zhou died." Xiao Yuanqing, at one point, couldn't hold it in. The face actually revealed a glimpse of happiness. He was pinched by concubine Qin in the back, then the look on his face vanished. "Dead," Huang Beiyu declared. However, before he died, he said that he said everything that should be said. What needed to be investigated, I will go do so. Return 10 times as much. 1. Xiao Yuancheng's face was slightly relaxed and so was concubine Qin's. So what if housekeeper Zhou had confessed? He's already dead, so where would there be evidence? The result that Huang Beiyu had interrogated, only she knew. What she had claimed, who knows if she had made this up. Okay. Today's matter, let's end it here. Lu Yungu has been burnt. Beiyu, move to Rong Yuxian and live there for now. Everything there is brand new. Compared to Lu Yungu, it's better than it by who knows how many times. Xiao Yuanqing relaxedly exclaimed. The huge problem within his heart was now gone. From now on, he could be free from worries. This Huang Beiyu, he can just slowly soothe her. Huang Beiyu didn't have the intentions of interacting with them anymore. The reason for the fire, she still needed to investigate this thoroughly. The person who tried to harm her today, she will definitely let them pay a price for this. She just wanted to leave when a servant suddenly hurriedly came in. Lord, the crown prince is here. Xiao Yuanqing was stunned. All the concubines and young misses were stunned. Right after, they were all secretly excited. The crown prince is here. Who knew the fire within the Princess Zhang's manor had led the crown prince over? Xiao Yun and Xiao Ling, a couple of the young misses, immediately began to tidy up their appearances. Before, they were getting ready to sleep, but who knew there was suddenly a fire? Everyone wore their family attire clothes out and none of them had washed up or dressed up. If they were to see the crown prince like this, it was a little out of manner. But if they go back to tidy and dress up, there wasn't enough time to do so. They hurriedly arranged their clothes and outside came the sound of armor walking on the ground. Not only did the Crown Prince came, but there was also the Black Cavalries who patrol around Linhuai City. Xiao Yuanqing hurriedly led everyone out to welcome them. Within the garden, Zhang Yi was coincidentally just walking in. The black embroidered robe was gorgeous and solemn. The icy cold external led people to fear to look at him. The pitch-black eyes swept over the people in front of the Princess Zhang's manor and noticed Huang Beiyu who stood in the back, with flimsy clothes. The heart suddenly was calmed down. Still good. He received the Black Cavalry's report that within Princess Zhang's manor, Lu Yungu where Princess Beiyu lived had caught on fire. He was actually scared that something might happen to her. Although it could be said that he and Huang Beiyu didn't have any interactions, she was the only kid that the imperial aunt had left. Plus, she was also the apprentice of Shi Tian. This official, Xiao Yuanqing, seized the crown prince. Xiao Yuanqing and Xiao Zhongqi, who held a military position, went up to salute. The rest of the young men all kneeled down. The women were in the back. No need for so many salutations. Zhang Yi coldly stated. No expression could be seen from his handsome face. Xiao Yuanqing stood up and respectfully exclaimed, "Crown Prince, please come to the front hall to drink some tea." Today within the manor, there have been some matters letting the Crown Prince see a joke. Zhao Yi watched as nothing was wrong with Huang Beiyu, so he didn't say anything more. It's just that he faintly inquired, how come it had suddenly caught on fire? I heard that the fire was from where Princess Beiyu lived. Does Princess Beiyu have any injuries? Xiao Yuanqing hurriedly replied, report back to the Crown Prince, this fire was just an accident. Before, thank goodness Shi Tian Darren had appeared just in time and saved everyone within Lu Yungu and Princess Beiyu out. Shi Tian obviously came. Her apprentice was in danger, so how could she possibly not care? It's good that there is nothing wrong with Princess. This fire probably caused some fright for the princess. Tonight, rest earlier. Zhang Yi looked towards Huang Beiyu, the tone in his voice was slightly warmer. Many thanks, Crown Prince. Huang Beiyu slightly bent her body and raised her head to see Zhang Yi's slightly pale white face, which seemed to be weak. Return 10 times as much, too. Being poisoned by the heaven-swallowing red python doesn't feel good. When she was poisoned at that time, even thinking about it now, it felt uncomfortable. Although Zhang Yi hadn't been poisoned much, it'll still feel uncomfortable for him. Yet he had still traveled a long distance to see her. She felt very apologetic to him, so she wanted to say a few words of concern to him. But there are so many people and she's still an unmarried young lady, so it wasn't good to say too much. Zhang Yi had no intention of staying at Princess Zhang's residence to drink some tea. The fire hasn't died down yet, so everyone is still trying to extinguish the fire. It would definitely be more chaotic and busy if he stayed. After saying a few polite words to Xiao Yuanqing, he prepared to leave. However, concubine Qin suddenly said, "Your Highness, please wait for a second." A concubine of the residence doesn't have a high position. Logically, how could she so rudely and blatantly try to stop the crown prince? Thus, when concubine Qin spoke, everyone in the estate shifted their gaze to her. Concubine Qin was very calm. She didn't panic at all as she slowly walked forward and knelt on the ground to give him a big bow. Zhang Yi turned around. He did not know who this woman was, so he looked at Xiao Yuanqing. Xiao Yuanqing also didn't know what concubine Qin was up to. He was puzzled but immediately said, "This is this subject's third concubine." Letting His Highness see a joke. Huang Beiyu frowned slightly. Zhang Yi hadn't even gotten married, so Xiao Yuanqing's introduction really made people feel disgusted. Who would know of his third concubine? Sure enough, after finishing his sentence, Zhang Yi was still somewhat confused. But he didn't show any signs of disrespect on his face. Your Highness. Huang Beiyu slightly bent her knees and said, "This is my big brother Xiao Zhongqi's mother, Prime Minister Qi's Shu daughter." Only then did Zhang Yi nod. When he heard it was Prime Minister Qi's Shu daughter, he frowned. Although he wasn't interested in the gossip between the nobles of Linhuai City, he knew of this Prime Minister Qi's Shu daughter. That year, in the palace banquet, she was the woman who had publicly seduced the emperor's brother-in-law, Xiao Yuanqing. She was the woman who had humiliated his imperial aunt and made imperial father and the empress dowager extremely angry. Although he was young at the time, he still remembered. Prime Minister Qi's Shu daughter had become Xiao Yuanqing's concubine. But he didn't expect it to be the person in front of him. What is it? Zhang Yi asked coldly. When concubine Qin heard Huang Beiyu's introduction, she immediately felt some resentment in her heart. Why would this girl mention her as Prime Minister Qi's daughter? Wasn't this blatantly trying to embarrass her? However, she had an even more important matter at hand, so she wouldn't bother with these matters for the time being. Concubine Qin kowtowed before saying, "Reporting to your highness, I feel that this fire is strange. I'm afraid it's not an accident but rather man-made." As soon as these words came out, the crowd burst into an uproar. Xiao Yuanqing immediately shouted, "Women, what nonsense are you spouting? Don't be disrespectful in front of His Highness." Concubine Qin slightly shrank back. For many years, Xiao Yuanqing had always doted on her. He had never gotten this angry at her before. So for a moment, she was also a bit afraid. However, Zhang Yi raised his hand, signaling to Xiao Yuanqing not to say anything more. He then said to concubine Qin, "Continue talking." "Yes," Qin Yi shyly responded. Then she tried her best to use a gentle voice to speak. "Recently, Princess Zhang's residence has had some conflicts with the Duke of An's residence. Thus, Dukin has sent people to surround Princess Zhang's residence, making things difficult for anyone who leaves the residence. Not long ago, Dukin and his son, Xueqie, had personally come to the residence and dissolved the engagement between Princess Beiyu and his son, Xueqie. Return 10 times as much. 3. Princess Beiyu is young and didn't understand, so she had openly offended Duke and must have harbored hatred within his heart, so he had secretly sent people to set fire to Princess Beiyu's flowing cloud pavilion, attempting to burn her to death. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard that. It was Dukin who wanted to harm Princess Beiyu. Xiao Yuanqing rubbed his chin as his mind spun. He immediately understood concubine Qin's intentions. He was overjoyed in his heart. Good Qiner. After all these years, I haven't realized that you're actually a smart person. Reporting to your highness, the day the Dukans broke off the engagement, his attitude was arrogant and aggressive. He had also insulted and humiliated Princess Beiyu multiple times. He was truly being unreasonable. Beiyu's insensible nature had caused Dukin and his son to lose face. But I would have never thought that he would actually resort to murder. Dukin is truly ruthless. These past few days, he had been constantly suppressed by the people of the residence of Dukin, making him dissatisfied. At this moment, he must seize this opportunity and throw all the dirty water onto the Duke of An's body. Huang Beiyu looked coldly at these people. These people are great at imitating the dogs and stealing the chicken, framing and setting up traps for others. However, framing Dukin isn't a bad idea. As Zhang Yi listened, his brows gradually furrowed. When Dukin had broken off the marriage agreement with Princess Beiyu, Dukin had lost face. Thus, he had kept it a secret. However, news had still leaked out and he had also heard about it. For a moment, he felt his heart brimming with pity for Huang Beiyu. Ever since Imperial Aunt had passed away, how had an orphan girl like her managed to survive in such a large manner? He knows about the rules of survival in big families. He had thought that she would be neglected in the residence, but he didn't expect that even the Duke of An would dare to break off the engagement and humiliate her. A trace of heartache suddenly rose in Zhang Ye's heart as he spoke coldly. I will thoroughly investigate this matter. If it's really done by the people of Duke of An's residence, then there'll be no mercy. Xiao Yao was overjoyed. Even the Crown Prince was furious. The people from Duke of An's residence would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. Not waiting for him to finish being happy, Huang Beiyu walked up and said, I don't dare to trouble your highness. We should hand this matter over to the people under the Commander of Justice. The Commander of Justice, Geng Zhong, will definitely enforce the law impartially. Zhang Yi gave it some serious thought before saying, Commander of Justice, Geng Zhong is a reliable person. He's impartial and can handle matters flawlessly. I'll be reassured if this matter is handed to him. Thank you, Your Highness. The corner of Huang Beiyu's mouth rose. That Commander of Justice, Geng Zhong, is a very fierce character. He doesn't show the slightest mercy to anyone. The matters that enter his hand would definitely let the truth come to light. The person who set fire to kill her today is probably so scared that he wants to die. Huang Beiyu turned her head to look at kneeling concubine Qin, who wanted to frame Dukin, and Xiao Yuanqing, who was very happy just a moment ago. The subtle expressions on their faces right now really makes people feel refreshed. They thought that by making Zhang Yi angry, the people from the Duke of An's residence would suffer. But they would have never imagined that in the middle of their plan, Huang Beiyu would jump out and hand this matter to the Commander of Justice. Geng Zhong was simply a piece of stinky stone, cold and hard. Once he arrives, everything that had happened in Princess Zhang's residence would definitely be exposed. Return 10 times as much, for, when the time comes, it's not as simple as just setting the fire up and killing someone. There was also secretly storing wealth and corruption involved. These matters, none of it can escape. Maybe then, even all the sufferings that Huang Beiyu had to endure within the manor would be revealed. This led each one of them, how could they feel calm about it? From Xiao Yuanqing, to concubine Qin, concubine Shui, and the young misses who were stroking their hair coquettishly, right now each one of their faces was like the color of dirt. Zhang Yi left a line of black cavalries in front of Princess Zhang's manor to protect them and drove away from the people from Ongwa Gong's manor. Then he brought his people along, leaving. Concubine Qin was held by Xiao Zhongqi and slowly stood up from the ground. She wasn't able to stand still yet when Xiao Yuanqing slapped her. Letting you act on your own. Xiao Yuanqing shouted out loud, flustered and exasperated. But once he thought of Huang Beiyu, who stood to the side, he didn't dare to say or do anything excessive. He could only, with his hands clasped behind his back, leave panting in rage. Concubine Qin was steadily slapped that the corner of her lips was dripping blood. Tears dropped down. She had followed him all these years, in which matter did she not consider for him first? Now that today, only such a small matter had occurred, he was going to slap her. Concubine Shui coldly exclaimed, Sister Qin, before you do anything first, you need to consider carefully before doing, otherwise you might harm yourself in the end. After she finished, she coldly smiled. Looking towards Huang Beiyu, with a gentle voice, today, the third young miss had endured quite a fright. From the start, your body hasn't been that well. I had boiled some ginseng soup. Later on, let your second sister bring some over to help with the shock. Have a good sleep and tomorrow morning, it will be fine. Troubling concubine Shui. Huang Beiyu couldn't reject it either. She nodded her head and looked towards concubine Shui and the others. Then she brought Dong Ling along to Rong Yuxian. This dissolving moon pavilion wasn't like flowing cloud pavilion. It was at Princess Shang's manor's most secluded place. The dissolving moon pavilion and Bai Shui Yuan, which is where concubine Shui lived, were only separated by a small pond. The two could be viewed from a distance and it was convenient to walk around. Walking on the road, Dong Ling exclaimed with worry, "How come young miss had agreed to drink concubine Shui's ginseng soup? I see that she definitely doesn't have a positive motive." "I naturally know that she doesn't have a positive motive. But I am guessing that she isn't that stupid. If she were to poison the ginseng soup and I end up dying from drinking it, she would have to face the consequences. Such a stupid action, concubine Shui probably won't do this." What the young miss had considered is accurate. "Then what should we do?" Huang Beiyu slightly smiled. "Don't inadvertently alert the enemy. See what they bring over first. It's the young miss who is smart," Dong Ling proudly declared. As though complimenting the young miss was like complimenting herself. "Wait for tomorrow when the commander of justice, Geng Zhong, comes. This matter of setting the building on fire will naturally be investigated. When the time comes, we don't need to be soft-hearted at all." The smile at the corner of Huang Beiyu's lips slowly fainted. The elegant face suddenly included a trace of sullenness. "Investigate for the truth to come to light. I am naturally happy. Those who want to harm me, it's not even enough to make mincemeat out of them. But however, young miss, please don't think randomly." Dong Ling realized what she was thinking about. She immediately got scared. Although the Lord doesn't treat the young miss well, a tiger, though cruel, will not devour its cubs. It's already come to this point. Saying honest words, I don't care about the affection between father and daughter anymore. This type of thing, I had never had before. If he is heartless, then don't blame it on me for being unjust to him. Huang Beiyu stopped her footsteps and punched the pillar within the hole. Immediately, on the wooden pillar, there was a faint punch mark. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.